What's up, everybody? We're in the studio. I've got a real interesting person that I want to talk to today. I've known of you for a long time. Uh, respect the far out of you. You're a veteran, so everybody knows I'm a huge supporter of veterans and stuff like that. And I wanted to have a sit down and conversation with you for many years, so I'm real excited and I appreciate you being on the podcast today. This is W.O. Jones. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, Danny. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you, man. This is something that, like I said, I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm excited about it.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah. So we'll just jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about growing up and where you lived and.
Well, I was born and raised in Clay County and over on Beach Creek, Littleton area, and I was born at home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of the older people know what a midwife is. There's no black woman. Her name was she was a Hyde. When I was born, it's February 19th. I've got a birthday coming up. I'll be 57.
Yeah.
February 19th. And I was born on my sister's 14th birthday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so me and her share a birthday. And when I was born, my dad was working in the coal mines over there. He couldn't make it home because there was a blizzard going on.
Yeah.
And there's snow probably about 3 foot deep. And the old woman came. She was a midwife. She came and delivered me. And that was over. That was 1967 February.
Yeah.
And she had a son. He was born just right before me, and we went to school all the way through high school together. And
Oh yeah.
and my mother, she couldn't nurse me, so the old woman, she nursed me.
Really?
She had me on one tit, and she had Rodney on the other tit.
Ah.
So for about the first 3 weeks of my life, she kept me alive.
Oh, what about that?
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Back then, the winters was harsh, man. It wasn't nothing like it is now.
Yeah.
It get cold and it stay froze. The ground stay froze forever.
Yeah.
And like I said, my dad was a coal miner. My grandpa was a coal miner. My brothers was coal miners. I worked in the coal mines for about 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I was about 7. I think I was 16 then, and I was still in school. And there was 12 of us. I had 12 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, my grandmother, she was full-blood Cherokee. She was born on a reservation over in North Carolina in 1898. That's
Wow.
my mother's mother.
Full-blooded Cherokee.
Yeah, full-blood. I'm a card-carrying Indian. I've got my ID in my pocket.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Lenape Cherokee.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's my kids. That's how they go into college, like we was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
My VA and then my Indian blood.
Okay.
But my grandmother, she about half raised me, because there was so much of us. So there was 12 of us. We didn't have running water. We packed our own water from a spring about a quarter mile away. And I guess about the only thing kept us alive. We'd have meat maybe once a week.
Wow.
If we was lucky.
Yeah.
And we had commodities. Back in the day, they had food stamps. You had to go to the post office and stand in line and get them. It was just like money.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid standing in line there and it cold, man, and they gave you the government cheese, and people were laughing about it. And it was just some good cheese.
Yeah.
Good peanut butter and stuff too. But that helped keep me alive. My grandpa, he lived way down on Wildcat toward Oneida.
Uh-huh.
And he had a farm and they had milk cows.
Yeah.
So, we did that. I was just a little boy. We carried water for drinking water, and we'd sleep 3 or 4 to a bed, be 3 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and
Yeah.
you had to smell your brother's stinky feet there, if you was the one at the bottom. And it just, I don't know, man. It seemed like growing up it was different from what it is now, and I tell people about it, tell my kids about it. I'm just 57.
Yeah, you're still young.
Yeah, and I can remember this stuff going on and happening, man. It don't seem like it was that long ago, but times have changed so bad. They're so hard. And I tell my kids about it, and they're like, wow, and they look at me like I was born on another planet or something, man.
Oh yeah.
They couldn't fathom living the way that we used to live.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the older people, if they hear this, they'll be like, yeah, I know where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting cow's milk and sitting out on the porch while my mom and my grandma was washing, and they had a big wash tub and a ringer washing machine, and I'd be sitting there churning milk, making butter with a churn, man, and be about 5, 6 years old, you know, and you'd look out there and your clothes be hanging on the line froze.
What about that?
Yeah, and we had a potbelly stove in the middle of the house, and we had water in the kitchen and used a dipper to drink with.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes when you get up in the morning, you go in there and get your drink, you'd have to break the ice in the drinking bucket with a dipper in it, you know.
What about that? That's crazy.
And we
in
lived
the
up
house.
yes, sir. And we lived up on the hillside, and you had to walk up a path to the house, you know. And we had to carry coal. The coal was down there in the coal pile was down at the bottom, you know.
Yeah.
And the water, we had to carry it about a quarter of a mile. And people, and we used the outhouse. We had an outside toilet.
Mm-hmm.
We had no running water. We never had a bathroom in my house until I was 16 years old.
16.
That's whenever we first got running water in a bathroom put in my house.
That's a long time to pack water and coal, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of us, and we did it.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember.
Maybe that's why they had so many of you, so you could spread it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then it wasn't unusual for families to have a lot of kids.
That wasn't unusual. It was very common.
I mean,
back then.
I had cousins, you know, aunts and uncles that had 8 or 10 kids, you know, and we'd go stay with them. I had an uncle that lived up in the head of Goose Rock, up in Mud Lick. They call it Big John, where my people was from.
Yeah.
And I mean, we would go back in there when school let out, and I mean, we just turned loose, buddy, back on that farm, ride ponies and go hunting. I mean, fishing, swimming, had big ponds and stuff. And
what about that?
Yeah, I remember my uncle. He was a World War II vet. My dad, he tried to go in, but he was too young, and they told him they needed him for the coal effort to mine coal during World War II. Well, all his older brothers went, and all my mother's older brothers went.
Yeah.
So they all served in World War II, and then I had 2 brother-in-laws. One was a Korean War veteran, one was a Vietnam veteran, and so as a kid, like I said, I worked in the coal mines for about 6 weeks. And it wasn't for me. I was like, well, in Clay County, it was either, back then, it was coal, you know, or truck running coal, driving a coal truck, or something like that. I mean, that's about all it was. And I seen my dad suffer with black lung and my uncles and stuff. And I didn't want to live like that, man.
Yeah.
I went back and under the ground, and I was like, this ain't for me. I mean, I guess claustrophobia. But I just didn't want to suck that coal dust down, breathe it, man, and eat it like they did. Because I seen them come home. My brother, he worked for Leco for like 23 years, run a roof boat machine. Yeah. Boat and top. He's got scars on him where rocks would fall on him.
There you go.
Can you imagine that? Being a mile underground and big rocks falling on you? And
I'd freak out.
But yeah, I mean, he'd tell me stuff, and I was like, man.
Yeah.
So I told my mother, I said, I'm getting out of here. And my grandma told me, she said, son, if you want to go, I mean, like I said, she was an Indian. She said, you want to go across the big waters? She said, they're going to send you across the big waters to fight. I was like, well, Granny, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Yeah.
I said, I don't want to breathe coal dust the rest of my life. So I went ahead. I was 17-year-old, and my dad wouldn't sign for me. He said, he said, I'm not going to sign for you. So my mother wound up signing for me to go in the Army when I was 17.
17.
Yeah, so.
Now, do you think that that's maybe because he had been there and done that and didn't want you to have to see all those things?
This was in 1985, 86, and it wasn't too, I guess it was, the world was working up to maybe Desert Storm. You know, something was getting ready to happen. I mean, it was in the air. Yeah. But, I mean, I always wanted to travel, and poor boy from Clay County, I mean, that's the only way I figured I could get out of there and see the world. Yeah. You know, was join the military. Yeah. And that's what I did.
Well, I mean, that is a real good way to see the world.
Oh,
I mean,
it is.
you go all over the place.
It is.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine, man, I mean, the way that the world is, especially this region, you know, it is kind of hard to make it out of this area.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so, I mean, do you think that people kind of took advantage of the military? Like, I knew that they you know that when you sign up for the military that there's going to be the possibility of chaos, but do you think that the opportunity of being able to travel is one of the main attractions of the military?
It was for me, and I wanted to further my education.
Pull that mic a little closer to you, W.
This one here?
Yeah, there you go. Here's a little bit of echo or something there. There you go.
There.
That'll work.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
But that's the only way I figured that I was ever going to be able to get out of Clay County and see the world. I mean, I'd been whenever I turned 18, I went in, or 17, and the furthest I'd ever been, man, was Cincinnati on the 8th grade trip.
Wow.
And I mean, one of the guys, I remember, it was so funny. When we went across the Ohio River, whenever we got on the bridge, he said, "Goodbye, United States."
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I thought, you dummy, we're still in the United States. We're just in Ohio. And, but.
Kind of shows you how sheltered people was.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's just.
That's something else.
A lot of people didn't, they hadn't been no further. I guess it's, back then, a lot of people hadn't been maybe to another state, maybe just 3 or 4 or 5 counties. They never traveled a lot.
Yeah, traveling wasn't a big thing back then.
No, and we rode bicycles and ponies and stuff. That's what kind of fun we had.
Yeah,
we'd swim in the creeks and play on the slicky rocks and swing on grapevines and what they tell us, get the hell out of the house. Don't come back till it gets dark. Yeah. And when the street light come on, that's whenever it's time to go to the house.
Yeah, I've had several people tell me that, when the street lights came on, it's time to go home.
Sometimes after that, we'd get out, a bunch of us, and we'd play kick the can, and stuff like that, or hide and seek,
Yeah.
Just being kids, man. We didn't have no games, Nintendo, no cell phones. We didn't have nothing like that.
I believe as good of an invention as this technology is, I believe it's inevitably going to be the downfall of society.
Well, I did social experiments on my own. Whenever we go out as a family, go shopping, go out to eat or something, I've noticed sitting around restaurants, you'll sit and look at people having dinner, and a married couple be sitting there and waiting on their food to come, and they be sitting there scrolling on their phones, not talking. And the kids nowadays, man, the younger people, it's like they have, I guess it's, they have to have therapy, man. The social anxiety, they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to look you in the eye, and it's like they don't have any common sense or nothing. It's kind of hard to explain it, and I can't understand it.
I don't either. But what you said right there really makes a lot of sense. A simpler thing as eye contact, not being able to keep constant eye contact with somebody is a form of social anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very common in kids nowadays. I don't think me and you have stopped looking each other dead in the eye this whole time, but that's just kind of the way me and you is made, and stuff. I ain't got no military history or anything like that, but me and you is kind of on the same level
it's got a lot to do with your upbringing, I guess.
I believe it does.
The way your parents today, I call it free range parenting.
Yeah.
They pretty much let the kids do whatever they want to, man.
Well, this is the babysitter.
Yeah.
Or the tablet, or computer,
and
or whatever.
That's why there's so much, I think why there's so much stuff going on in the world today, man, is because us as parents have failed our children. And it's our fault. I look at it as being our fault. I don't blame it on the kids or the younger generation. Hell, I blame it on us.
Well, whose else's fault could it be? They're kids.
Well, you remember whenever we was growing up, we used to get a kick in the pants, man. Whenever we screwed up, we paid for it.
Yeah, now it's grounding you from your phone.
Yeah, there was no, I'm going to call social services on you and have have them come in and put you in jail because you disciplined your child.
Yeah.
You got your ass busted. I've had to take an old hickory butcher knife and go out and cut my own switch.
I remember those days.
And it better work when you got home. I tested it out on myself before I even took it back in the damn house. And just to make sure that it was, it would work.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, man.
Oh, I know it is.
And I remember my daddy, he couldn't discipline us because he had really bad anger problems.
Oh, yeah, that's something you got to watch.
He was really quiet. I remember one time he did discipline me, and he hurt me. He made me bleed. He split my brains out. But I guess I deserved it. I was taunting him, Oh, yeah, old man, you can't kiss
Oh,
me.
yeah, you tried him.
Yeah,
Man.
he's like, you're going to get cold and hungry sooner or later, and you're going to come. He said, I'll get your ass. He said, I'm a Trig Jones. He said, I don't never forget nothing. He said, you better believe that.
Yeah.
Well, I stayed out as long as I could, and I got cold and hungry. When I snuck in the back door, son, and I got comfortable underneath the quilts.
Yeah.
Hey, next thing I know, boom, the light come on, and son, there he was beating my ass, you know. And I was like, well, he said, I told you I'd get you, didn't I?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
You know, a lot of times nowadays, people think that that's abuse.
I know.
You know, a whipping with a switch or a belt or something. Or that's the way. That's the mentality of society nowadays. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean,
but it's crazy.
It's back then. I mean, you remembered it. You know, you like, well, if I mess up again, I'm gonna get my ass busted. You know, and I mean, back then you got a whooping, you remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I went to school, the teacher still paddled you, man. They
Oh,
grab you by your belt loop, son, and raise your pants up tight against your butt and lay the paddle to you.
I got paddled one time in elementary school, and I can't remember what grade it was. I think it was 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah.
And I remember that very day. Just like you said, you remember it. You know, I remember that in elementary school getting paddled by Karen Abner.
Oh, yeah.
What was her name?
Yeah. Was that at Manchester?
No, that was down here in McKee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I went to Manchester Elementary grade school up until I was in the 8th grade, and I remember getting my butt paddled right there. Whenever I was in the 7th grade, Wayne Napier. I don't know if you remember him. He was the football coach over there at the time.
Okay.
So he took the paddle to me, and he hit me a little bit higher up on my back. I mean, it hurt me, and I got mad at him. I reckon got the paddle out of his hand. And I said, "You ain't gonna do that. You hurt me. You know you did."
Yeah.
And my dad actually went out there with a shotgun. Denny Campbell was the principal out there. I think he might have been over the board of education or something. My dad went out there with a Model 12 Winchester shotgun, son, on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said, "You don't hurt my boy." You know, he said, "You can paddle him, but you ain't gonna break a paddle across his back."
Yeah, I don't blame him.
And all I did, the only thing I was guilty of was chewing a little chewing tobacco. You know, had a little chew tobacco in my mouth, and hell, I was helping. Paul Stewart he was the janitor then, and I was helping him. I'd get out of class and help him, you know, empty the garbage cans and stuff. I mean, it's just something.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and he gave me a little chew back and he said, "Don't tell nobody," you know. I didn't
that.
rat him out.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't rat him out.
But they caught me, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I paid for it, but.
Oh, yeah. That's the way the world has changed so much, you know. I don't necessarily know that if I would want somebody else paddling my youngins, you know, because they may not know my youngins like I do, you know. So I'm kind of up in the air on something like that. I really don't know how I'd feel about it.
Back then, everybody knowed everybody.
That is true.
It was close knit community, and I mean, my mother and them, they went to church with these people, and my mother told him if he gets out of line, you know, bust his ass.
Yeah.
And I mean, but he got mad. He got mad at me, and he did hurt me. But other than that, I mean, that's the only bad experience I had with that.
Yeah.
And I remember whenever I was in high school, I went to Clay County High School for about 6 years.
Yeah.
And I quit 3 or 4 times, man, because I was rebellious.
Uh-huh.
You know, I smoked a little weed and stuff back then, which everybody did.
Everybody has.
You know, and I was like, I'm not going to go to college. I don't want to do this. You know, I never even went to none of my proms, man. I mean, I was like, ain't no sense in that. I went to my senior prom out there and helped set the tables up.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I went out and we got drunk.
I don't think I ever went to any of my proms either.
Yeah, we used to go up on the deadlift, man, and we'd build a bonfire and we'd just pass around. A Friday night was a pint of liquor, man, and a 20 bag of weed, you know, between about 10 people.
Yeah,
you know?
Good times.
Yeah, and I mean, we'd sit there and do that. And then when I was in high school also, man, you never heard about nobody shooting no schools up or nothing like that. I mean,
never did.
Shoot, we'd go squirrel hunting, you know, or deer hunting before we went to school, and we'd go to school in our trucks and have our guns hanging in the gun racks, man, right there in the parking lot.
Well, yeah.
And after school was out, we'd go hunting.
What do you think? Like, I know we've talked about technology and stuff like that and how it's affected the people's way of life and stuff, but I don't think that's all the reason. What do you think? I know I believe one of the main reasons is what you said, parenting. There's a
Yes.
whole different style of parenting.
Yes.
But above all that, what else do you think
I
has made
think-
such a drastic change?
I
in
think the
people?
TV, watching these movies and just the cell phones coming out. I remember when the internet at the flea market, man, back whenever they started the World Wide Web, I said, "Oh, this is a fad. This ain't
Oh
gonna
yeah,
catch on."
I remember AOL
Oh
and all
yeah,
that stuff.
I wish I'd have brought stock in it, man. I mean,
yeah.
I'd have been a millionaire right now.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a billionaire. But
Yeah,
I looked at it and I said, "That ain't gonna. That's not gonna catch on. That's just a fad."
yeah.
But the
It's took
rest
over.
to say history.
It's
It's
took
history.
over the world.
Oh yeah. But-
It's scary times to be living in right now. You've got those 3 military personnel that just killed the other day.
Yes.
By the drone attack.
Right.
And it's
we've
scary
got more
times.
troops scattered out across the world right now, man. If something was to happen in this country, who'd take care of it? I tell you who'd take care of it. The National Guard in each state, what little bit we got, and then the people like me and you.
Absolutely.
The veterans, the police officers, the first responders.
Absolutely.
And just the good old boys, the hunters, the deer hunters,
Yep.
and stuff like that. If it hit, I ain't gonna say if it hits the fan, and I hope it never does, but when it hits the fan,
Yeah.
that's whenever you're gonna have to rely on your neighbors, man.
I believe. I mean, I'm not trying to scare anybody listening, but I believe it's just a matter of time before there's another civil war.
Well,
And
it's coming.
It's dependent on who's leading the country as to
Right.
who's going to be defending the country.
Sorry, that's my
You all
alarm.
right?
That's my alarm for at 7 o'clock every night. I usually I'm on medicine and I take blood thinners and stuff.
Okay, yeah. But I believe it's dependent on who's running the country as to who's going to defend the country. But I believe that you're absolutely right in the fact that it's going to be people like me and you that does a little prepping,
Well,
does a little reading between the lines, and knows what's going on behind
yes, sir.
the lies.
I believe in the good Lord above. I mean, I pray to Him every day. When I wake up, I say a prayer, and
Oh, yeah.
as soon as my eyes flies open, I thank the good Lord for my blessings,
Mhm.
for another day, thank you for letting me be alive, being here with my family, my friends,
Yeah,
and just, I ask Him to watch over us, guide us, and protect us, and give us strength, courage, and wisdom, just so we can get through the day and through the times and
absolutely.
everything else. And then I tell Him that I appreciate Him for everything He's done, because without Him, none of this would be possible. Nothing would be possible. Nobody'd have anything. Nobody'd be anything.
Yeah,
I give thanks to God above, number one, first thing.
Yeah,
And
got to.
I'm not no Bible thumping Christian, but I'm a firm believer in the Lord.
oh yeah, I am too.
Because I've been in situations, Danny, where I should have died. And actually, I'm a living, breathing miracle sitting here right now talking to you. When I was telling you my alarm went off, the blood thinners,
Yeah,
I had a pulmonary embolism happen to me right at my house about this time of the year, 4 years ago.
yeah,
And I had blood clot leave my leg. And I knew something was wrong because I got to where I couldn't breathe, and I was building a fire down in my basement, and I was going up and down the steps. I got to where I couldn't breathe, and it kept getting worse and worse. And I told my wife, I said, something's wrong. And at the time, my daughter was a cheerleader over in Clay County, and we just had been here probably 3 or 4 years. And one of her nurses came over. It was a physical therapist. She came because my daughter had hurt her ankle or knee or something. And she checked me out. She said, "You need to go to the doctor." She said, "I'm not going to scare you." She said, "But I think you've got blood clot." And my leg was real hot. And it left my leg. And I went ahead and drove myself to the VA. When I got to Lexington, I didn't know where I was at. I couldn't use my phone. I didn't know anything. I looked up and seen New Circle Road, and I said, if I can get on that road, I can get there.
yeah,
Well, I finally made it to the VA up in Lexington Cooper. And when I got there, they took me straight on back, and they did it. They said, you've had to pull, your lungs are full of blood clots.
wow,
Yeah, they did an X-ray, ultrasound. They laid me down on the table, started stripping me down, taking everything off. And one of the doctors looked at me and he said, "You're dying." And there's a nurse, a female doctor standing there holding my head. And she's like, "How can you be so calm?" And they made him leave the room. They said, "You shouldn't have told him that." And I said, well, hang on a minute, I ain't dead yet. And I had sense enough to get on the phone and call my wife and tell her how to get in the safe, and all this other stuff. And I told her what was going on. And I told her, I said, I might not make it,
Yeah, that's a come to Jesus moment right there.
She called Jimmy Martin out here. Jimmy was one of the oldest friends I've got in Jackson County. I knew him 20 years before I moved here.
Jimmy's good people.
I bought several vehicles off of him, and he's always been there for me. He called, I think his name's Kenny, on Indian Creek down here.
Yeah.
Anyway, they started a prayer chain for me, man, and they took me upstairs at the VA and started me on heparin drip. And they came in about 2 o'clock that morning and said, you're going to make it. You quit throwing blood clots.
Heck yeah.
And that doctor, she said, how did you keep your breathing up? And I don't know if you've ever heard of diaphragmatic breathing.
I have.
Well, I learned how to do diaphragmatic breathing from a therapist at the VA in one of my PTSD groups up there.
Mm-hmm.
And she taught us how to do mindfulness and the diaphragmatic breathing. And you can actually take, if your blood pressure, if you're anxious, anxiety, whatever, if you're having to get real bad, real tore up, you can actually lower your heart rate and your blood pressure by doing diaphragmatic breathing, and it also puts oxygen back in your body fast.
That's where I've heard of it from, because I've had a doctor recommend that to me.
I couldn't breathe with my lungs. My lungs was about 99.6% stopped up.
Daggone.
And I was breathing using my diaphragm, and it kept me alive. My pulse ox was 68.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know I was in this world hardly.
Wow.
Yeah, and the next morning I was sitting there eating Jell-O, man. And there was 3 doctors sitting there looking at me, rubbing their chins, and they was from different hospitals. They was blood doctors. And there was people coming looking the doors and stuff and sitting, and they was like, well, and I was like, well, you're the talk of the hospital, 3 hospitals, because you're the I think they said it was 99.8%, the 0.2002 or whatever it was of the people that survived what happened to me.
So they wanted to see the miracle.
Yes, and one of them was talking to me, and the other 2 was just standing there looking at me. They never did say a word. And he said, we're trying to figure out how you're sitting there in that chair eating that Jell-O.
Yeah.
They said, you should have died 3 or 4 times over.
Daggone.
They said when the blood clot left your leg and went through your heart, you should have had a massive heart attack that took you out of this world. And they said then when it went to your brain, they said you should have had one of the worst strokes that was ever on record. And they said not only that, it came through from out of your brain, and then it went into your lungs and stopped your lungs up 99.6 or 8%.
2 very major things you got to have to live: brain and your lungs.
Yes. Yeah. And I contribute that trick of that diaphragmatic breathing, man, to keeping me alive, to keeping oxygen going to my brain and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like it was. And it's a very useful tool if anybody has severe anxiety or anything like that, or your blood pressure gets out of whack and you get all tore up. Look up that diaphragmatic breathing and do a little research on it, because it will help you.
Yeah, I have heard about that. It was suggested to me to deal with anxiety and stuff like that when you feel a panic attack coming on or something like that.
And I have
just kind of ease into it.
I have panic attacks severely sometimes, and I have to do the breathing techniques. They teach you that. Mm-hmm. And it's just a lot of it's in your mind. It's
it is. Just, I'm my own worst enemy.
I am
when
too.
It comes to stuff like that.
I am too, man. And it's I can get myself tore all to pieces just from 100 mile an hour, from 0 just boom, 100 mile an hour.
Yeah, I believe that's a lot of what people don't realize. Well, the ones with PTSD or anxiety, they do because they deal with it. But a panic attack, anxiety attack, or something other, in my opinion, comes over me just like a wash.
Yes.
Of cold water.
It's like a hand hit. You see it coming in your face, and then boom, it's there, and then you're like.
You can absolutely feel it and see it.
Yes.
Smell it coming on almost.
I know.
And it's scary because for me, in the moment, I see it coming just like a car coming at me.
Yes.
But there ain't nothing I can do about it in the moment. It's a scary thing.
And they tell me that a lot of it's caused by triggers. There's certain smells, sights, just sounds that will trigger it. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
there for a long time, man, I was in denial. I said, there ain't nothing wrong with me, you know. Hell, and a lot of it I self-medicated, man. When I learned how to drink and cuss and smoke in the military. I mean, that's three of the worst habits I've ever picked up in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I have sometimes. I mean, I say a few cuss words and stuff every now and then, but
Right.
you know, it's a learned behavior, and it's part of my language. I mean, it's.
Well, that's
I try to be respectful. I mean, I try to respect people when I'm around them, but you know, sometimes stuff slips out. You know,
that's what makes you, though.
Yeah,
you know?
But I mean, I'm not. If anybody knows me and they know where I'm coming from, they know they probably heard me cuss and stuff. But you know, it's no disrespect meant toward nobody. You know, don't want to try to offend nobody. It's just me.
I'm not, which you probably know this about me, most people do. I don't much worry about what somebody thinks of me.
Right.
You know,
I've learned that. I used to be like, well, it would bother me knowing if somebody disliked me, man. I'm like, what the hell? Why? What's wrong? You know, what have I done to you? Why don't you like me?
Yeah.
And then it took a lot of therapy, man, and a lot of trying to figure out to understand, you know, hey, you can't change people.
No, you can't.
No matter how hard you try, you know, you just got to accept it and go on. Look at that and make it, you know, just be you.
Well, if you're
worry about you,
if you're gonna put on a fake for everybody around you, you're gonna have to do it for the rest of your life. And you're never gonna know whether somebody's being genuine with you or a genuine friend, because, in my opinion, friend is something that's few and far between nowadays.
It is. I can count true friends on one hand.
Oh yeah, I can.
True friends that I can. Sometimes a friend is somebody that you don't never see for a year, 6 months, or a year, 8 or 10, you know, 2 or 3 years, and then you all of a sudden you see them or you talk to them on the phone, and it's just like you talked to them last night.
Pick up where you left off.
Why, yeah,
that's the way it is. A lot of people don't know what that is. You know, I call them fair weather friends.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're your friend as long as the weather's fair.
I have very few friends, but I have lots of acquaintances.
Lots. I got a lot of acquaintances.
And, I mean, I know a lot of people, and a lot of people know me. There's people knows me that I don't even know. It comes up to me and talks to me. I'm like, who the hell are you? You know? Like I said, I can't remember half the time. You know, it's just, if it don't really pertain to me, it's like it don't bother me. It just like goes over my head. It's like I'm not worried about it, and it's my brain's coping mechanism, you know, to not retain that kind of information. If it don't pertain to me, then I don't care.
That's something I kind of need to work on, because I let a lot of things get to me.
Well,
a lot of things piss me off, and I immediately try to do something about it.
Right.
The politics, I'm big into politics. I hate it, but I can't help but be just consumed by it.
Me too.
And the way that the world is working, you know, I'm nobody. And
well, I mean, if you give
I think I can do something.
If you give a damn about your country and your flag, man, and everything, and your rights and the Constitution, then you need to get pissed off. And there needs to be a whole hell of a lot of people in this country starting to get pissed off right now.
I agree with you,
because it's what are we going to leave our kids, man? We got to think about our younger generation. America it's a nation of weaklings right now. The way I look at it, I mean, I was talking to some people the other day, and I said, well, what if they bring back the draft? You know, the military enlistment's down like 25%, man.
It's down.
And they're talking about maybe making it mandatory for 18-year-olds to go in the military for a couple of years. It's like that in Europe. It has been for 30, 40 years.
I don't know if I'd want them this generation. I don't know if I'd want them defending my freedom.
I have had several of them say, nobody's going to get up in my face and talk to me like that. You know, you got to come out of mommy's basement sometime and give that pacifier up and that safe space and that blankie.
Yeah.
They say it. I talked to a guy the other day, and he said that the military now they can't get in your face and talk to you, man. They can discipline you because you got a timeout card. And you can actually, I was like, oh, you're joking. He's like, no.
Yeah, that's
he
what
said
it is.
they can pull that timeout card on you, on their drill sergeants or whatever, and say, I can't handle it.
Ain't that crazy?
Yes.
Because I know that wouldn't like it during your time.
Hey, let me tell you something. They took me out behind the building, son, and give me wall-to-wall counseling. We used to put boxing gloves on. And I remember in 1986, the drill sergeants would get up in your face and they'd lay hands on you.
Yeah.
I mean, they took you and they made you better.
Mm-hmm.
They broke you down, tore you down,
Built
and
you
they
back
built
up.
you up, and I mean, they turned you into a man.
Yeah.
And I think that would be. I hate to see anybody have to leave their little safe place and their blankies and their passies and stuff and their mommy's titty.
Yeah.
You know, and their mommy's billfold and stuff. But I think that it would be good, man, for a little disciplinary. You know,
It's never hurt nobody.
No.
I've always said
and they teach you a trade, man. Teach you, you know, you learn something. You teach discipline and respect, and that's something that's not taught anymore.
It ain't.
No, these kids jump up in their parents' faces and their teachers' faces. There's no discipline for your parents. These kids, this younger generation, they have no discipline for their friends.
Mm-mm.
They have no discipline for any of their teachers or anything like that, or law enforcement. I mean, it's just.
It's the pussification of America is what I call it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's a tactical maneuver by the government.
Oh,
you know, I think that they have purposely made people weak.
They want to make you dependent on them.
That's right.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're easier to control if you're a weaker species.
We are taxed to death.
Yeah.
We have no representation in this country. I mean, it's taxation without representation. It's theft. The way I look at it, taxation is theft.
It is.
I can understand paying taxes and stuff, but paying taxes on the money you make, the money you spend, the things you spend that money on that's taxed already, you know, to buy something, then you're taxed on it. Your ownership of it, you're taxed on.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're taxed until you die, and then you're probably taxed after that. You know?
Oh, yeah, I'd say so.
I looked it up the other day, and I think we pay like 50-something different taxes in this country.
Yeah.
And if it was left up to the politicians now, they're wanting to. I mean, they're printing $100 bills out left and right, man. I mean, they're hyperinflating the economy for one.
Yeah.
Your money don't go as far as it used to. Danny, I went to Walmart the other night, man, and I got some stuff for the house, and I got some groceries, shampoo, you know, washing powder, soap, you know, just stuff like that you need.
$200-$300.
Hell, I wish. And we got our phone cards, you know, through Straight Talk for our phone service for me and my wife and my two daughters.
Mm-hmm.
When they rung it up, it was $850, man.
Jesus Christ.
I like to fell over. I was like, what the hell?
And
she went back through the list, the cashier did. She went over it with us. She said, I didn't make any mistakes. And I was like, damn.
God,
you know, I said, that's the biggest. It's the biggest money I've ever spent at Walmart, you know.
That's a house payment for a lot of people.
Just groceries, man. I mean, and not even a whole buggy load of stuff. We got pop and water, milk, bread, you know. We got a little meat. We got 3 or 4 suppers, you know, to fix supper for us. And I'm talking about 4 people that lives in my house.
Yeah, I know it's high. There's 4 of us in this house. It's not cheap by any stretch of imagination. And I'm a big meat eater. You know, I love a good steak.
Oh, I do too.
That's high as
I like my chicken wings.
Back,
you know, I love my chicken wings. I'm a hot wing freak. I love buffalo wings.
Fried chicken wings, steak is my 3 favorite foods in the world. Well, they just happen to be the highest price.
I like steak every now and again. I won't turn down a big T-bone or a ribeye or something other. But now let me tell you something. A big 10, 15 big hot wings, you know, like Hooters got or something like that. Man, I tear that shit up. You know?
Yeah.
I love it. I mean,
I keep a bag of wings in the freezer.
It's weakness, man. I mean, it's one of my favorite foods.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with wings.
No, I love chicken. Just...
Now, let's. I do want to get into a little bit of your military history.
Okay.
And go through that, but I'm gonna play this ad right quick for you guys.
Go right
and let y'all get a peep at one of our sponsors. So enjoy this commercial here, folks.
Livingstone Outreach is a 501c3 nonprofit with a mission providing clothing, hygiene products, and our youth with programs and activities throughout the year. If you would like to donate, please call us at 859-5823-445. Thank you.
On it out.
All right, we're back, folks. What I was saying there, W.O. Now, you may have said this earlier. What year did you enlist in the military?
I went in the Army in February 1986.
1986.
Yeah, and I went to Fort Knox. The Army recruiter actually picked me up at my house, And it was February the 20th. I went in. I had just had a birthday on February 19th. So I had my birthday party. My girlfriend come and see me, said goodbye, and I told everybody, hey, I'm gone. And Army recruiter come and got me at the house, took me to the Clay County High School and got my diploma. I was in vocational school at that time, and down there on Island Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And I quit school, and I had to make up a couple of credits.
Yeah.
So I actually had to go after my graduating class. I had to go back and make them credits up. Well, I graduated. I got my credits made up. It was in February. And I went out there, and Lee Brown and Bev Jones was the principal and assistant principal.
Yeah.
And the Army recruiters were with me, and he said, we came to get his diploma. Because the only reason I went back to high school, and I'll tell you guys this, is because they wouldn't let me go in the Army unless I finished high school.
Yep, without
and I never got a GED. I actually had to go back and make up them credits and go to high school and get my diploma. Well, we went there and got it. And this is kind of funny, because we went ahead and got my high school diploma. We was driving one of them little white Jeep Wranglers.
Yeah.
And my recruiter, I don't know if I should say this or not.
Well, say whatever you want to say.
I probably can. Hell, that's been a long time ago. That's been, 35, 40 years ago?
Yeah.
But anyway, he said he smoked pot, which I did too.
Yeah.
And he said, I heard that Clay County's got some of the best weed around. I was like, yeah. He said, do you know where we can get some at? And I said, man, is this a test, And at the time, there was a local bootlegger, man, up on Gregory Branch. I ain't going to say no names.
Right,
he's dead and gone, and he was some of my kin folks, and he was a damn good guy. But I went up there, and there sat the sheriff and him having coffee at 8 o'clock that morning, and here's me and an Army recruiter walking in, and him in his dress, his uniform.
Uh-huh.
So here we are, we walking in, and he's sitting there having coffee with the sheriff. And I'm, what I'm saying, and he said, hey, W.O., how can I help you? I said, well, I'm getting ready to go to the Army, Bobby. And he's like, okay. And I said, he's wanting a bag of pot.
Oh my God.
And I said, I want a 12-pack of Bud Light.
Uh-huh.
And they said, John Ray, go up there and get him. He said, go up there and get him some of that good stuff.
Oh my God.
And the sheriff was sitting there, and we was sitting there looking at each other, and I was like, I knew him. Everything was cool, They knowed me. I've been there a million times.
Uh-huh.
And there's my kin folks and stuff. Good friends.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't worry about it. You ain't got nothing to worry about.
Well, that was good.
And I remember, man, we left there. Bob, he told me, he said, good luck, W.O. He said, I'm glad you're getting out of here, man. Make something out of yourself.
Yeah.
I said, I appreciate it.
That's cool.
And everybody wished me well. And we left there, and we headed toward London. Then we hit I-75, and we was rolling down I-75, and I'd cracked me open about 2 beers, and I was starting working on it,
Uh-huh.
And the recruiter looked over at me, and we was running about 75, 80 mile an hour on I-75, so he was holding the steering wheel with his knees while he rolled the joint. I said, how do you get away with that?
Yeah.
I said, they told me I'd have to quit. I didn't smoke a lot of weed, it was just something that.
Just recreation.
Yeah, we just smoked a little pot, drank a little whiskey, drank a little moonshine or something other, a few beers.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't nothing bad. I mean, you never did hear nobody ODing on heroin or cocaine or nothing like that, or no serious pill usage or.
Right.
Everybody just like drinking a little beer and get a little buzz on, and having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he said when it comes time for us to have the piss test, he said, I got a guy that does that for me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And
okay.
he said, they don't say nothing to me no way. He said, I bring too many people into the Army.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Which, I mean, he was a pretty cool guy. He dropped me off. At Louisville at the MEP Center.
Yeah.
And, it was on there, man. We partied all night. It was our last night of freedom, and we just there was people from New York, California, Boston, Florida. There was a big old mixing pot of us, man. They black, white, Mexicans. Just everything in the world. We was all there.
Yeah. Now, where was the first place that you went from there, after basic?
I went to Fort Knox and did one station unit training there. My basic AIT was at Fort Knox.
Yeah.
And I was in a place called Disney Barracks. And I don't know if you've ever heard the hills there, heartbreak, agony, and misery. I mean, whenever you're going up them, you got to hump them.
I think I've heard some people talk about that.
It's like straight up, man.
Yeah.
But that's where we was at, and I was actually looking back on on this page that I'm on. It's 19 Delta. That was my MOS. I was a Cav Scout.
Yeah.
I was an armored reconnaissance specialist, and that's what I went into. As soon as I left there, they sent me straight to Germany, and I was stationed with the 3rd Infantry Division in Schweinfurt. I was a headquarters company, and I was there in headquarters company. I mean, they keep all the rejects, you know.
Yeah.
The mortarmans, Fordoos, the mechanics, you know, everybody that's not infantry is in headquarters company. Well, I was in recon platoon right there, and oh man, at the time we wore black berets.
Okay.
Nobody wore berets but Special Forces and Rangers and Airborne. And at the time, I mean, if you wore a beret, you was a different type of soldier.
Okay.
Everybody else
it
wore
meant something.
Yeah, everybody else wore soft caps, and I actually went to. Whenever I got there, the first thing they did, they sent me to language school. You had to learn how to talk a different. You had to speak German.
Okay.
And they teach you, you know, the basic German language, how to get, you know, where's the bathroom, where's the bus.
Basic stuff.
Yeah, wo's the Busheide Stella, you know, woher kommen Sie, ich komme aus Kentucky. You know, and you learn how to talk a little German to get you by, you know, when you're downtown and stuff. But then, there, I went to several different training areas over there, in Miesau and Wildfleck in Germany, and Grafenwehr is a big gunnery over there.
Yeah.
And we was stationed in some of the World War II barracks over there in Leadward, in Schweinfurt. And there was still World War II damage from all over the country from World War II, man.
Really?
Yeah, still getting in the 80s. And I mean, if you would go out in the countryside, we would go out on maneuvers and go out patrolling the border. That's what I did in Germany for like the first 3 years. I was up on the border 285 days a year. I was up on the border sitting looking at people was closer than me and you are across a little blue and white pole or a border stone.
Yeah.
1 meter width was the dead space.
Wow.
On our side was a path, and on their side was a path, and I mean, I'd see the same GACs, the East German, Russian border people, and they'd come and we'd stand there and take pictures of each other, man, and we'd wear rank backwards and upside down, and you know, just black our faces out and just screw them up, you know, and they would come and they'd do facing movements with their AKs and stuff, and well, I mean, we had bullets in our guns, they had bullets in their guns, and and we'd get alerted out once a month or something happened. They'd call us 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, alert in advance. I mean, boom, shakalaka, you was gone. You busted the gate, you had to be on post. I lived off post because I was married.
Right.
And they gave you 15 minutes to be there. And then I was a gunner on the Bradley. It was an M3 Bradley. It had a 25 millimeter chain gun, the main gun, and it had a coax machine gun, and then it had the tow missiles, you know, that raise up and it shoot tows, and it was a scout vehicle. The thing would run. Ours was governed. It'd run 65 mile an hour.
Daggone, that's moving.
Yeah, it had 1,000 horsepower Allison diesel motor in it, you know, and it would scream. And I mean, you could stop on the dime and hit pivot steer, and it would do donuts.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
And this thing, I mean, it had ISU in it. It was heat. You could take and look, and you could look out, and you could see the heat. Anything hot, it showed up on it, man. It was like we called it it's ISU integrated sight unit.
Wow.
But infrared.
Yeah.
You had that. I mean, it was pretty high tech for 1986. Nowadays, I mean, they got a whole lot nicer toys, you know, to play with than what we had.
It's kind of crazy that the amount of technology that goes into this weaponry now and in today's military.
And
it's impressive stuff.
And we would actually, whenever we would go out, we had our training areas, maneuver areas called Area Mike. And we would go out there and they'd be blowed up tanks and stuff sitting there, Tiger tanks, just American tanks sitting there in the woods. I mean, where they'd left, where they was there from World War II still yet. And I mean, and you're talking crazy. What, 40 years later?
Yeah.
and Germany was still rebuilding. Europe was, and I mean, it was nothing to see. And we actually, I was digging a foxhole when I first got there. I was an observer on the track, and the ramp would go down, and we would go out the back with an M60 machine gun, and we'd dig a foxhole in the back and set up a perimeter field of fire with that M60. It's like, here's your field of fire, this area to this area, and everything in between. Was what you would, if it came at you, if you had to, that's what you destroyed.
So they would tell you that from here to here, this is your kill zone.
This is your kill zone. They called it field of fire.
Okay.
And anything outside that, you wasn't supposed to shoot. If it came inside your field of fire, you had to rely on your hands. you had to rely on hand-to-hand combat, or you had to rely on if you was lucky enough to have a pistol. I carried a pair of brass knucks with me. Oh, yeah. I still got them. I mean, I carried them the whole time I was in the military. As a matter of fact, I had a boot knife. I had a pair of brass knucks. I had several different knives, and I actually had 2 pistols that I carried with me everywhere I went.
Yeah,
and, they were my own personal guns. I actually carried them too when I left for Germany. I had them in a suitcase, a lockbox, and they kept them in the cabin of the airplane. Delta Airlines, what I flew.
Really?
And the pilot kept my pistols. I had 2 Smith & Wesson 659s, and there's 9mm, and he kept them. I had shoulder holsters, and when I got there, of course, I had to leave them in the armory.
Oh, yeah.
And when I needed them, when we went somewhere, went on a mission or whatever, I'd check them out and I'd take them with me.
Yeah. I always wondered if there was a certain amount of guns you was allowed to pack.
Well,
or if they had a number that you couldn't
they
go
would
over
assign you. They would assign you a certain weapon.
Yeah.
Like when I first got there, I was a 60 gunner. I carried an M60 and 400 rounds of belt ammo, plus my personal everything, all my gear.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're talking like 70, 80 pounds in a 28-pound machine gun.
And
I was 190 pounds, and I was as healthy as I ever was in my whole life.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was solid rock.
And
I mean, 18 years old, and you felt like
ready
you
could
conquer the world. I was ready.
Yeah.
And I was highly trained, man. I mean, I went to we cross-trained with a lot of NATO. I was with NATO Command. We was assigned to NATO over there, and USAR Command.
Yeah.
And the Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC, it's Special Forces, and it's you cross-train with MI6, British Commandos, Israeli, IDF.
Wow.
Yeah, and I learned parts of about 3 different languages, and whenever you was training and you was doing stuff like that, special missions and stuff, you had to learn how to talk. You had to be a linguist.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Yeah, and my specialty was I was a light weapons specialist, and that's what my specialty was.
Yeah.
I was a light weapons specialist. I could take an M16 or an AK-47 or a G3 or a 1911 45 Colt. I could take anything apart blindfolded in the dark, man, in the mud, and put it back together blindfolded.
Yeah.
In the dark, whatever.
That's some serious stuff right there.
Yeah, and we all learned we cross-trained to be armorers, so we worked on our own stuff, and they taught us how to treat gunshot wounds and broken bones and stuff. So you learned a lot of medicinal stuff. You became your own medic, because if you were separated from the main body, you had to learn how to take care of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was in Germany, I did a lot of stuff up on the border. I was actually up with the 2nd 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment at Bad Kitzigen and at Camp Lee. But then that's a different time. But the 3rd Infantry Division was my first assignment.
Yeah.
And when I was there, a lot of the guys that are older that's ever been to Germany will know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Full to gap was my GDP points, where my going to war point was. And my life expectancy in World War III was like 8 seconds.
8 seconds.
Yeah, Full to gap was a big gap, man, the East German border. Certain places of the border was just, you see it on TV, man. It was like a big old concrete wall with the razor wire and stuff, shards of glass and everything on top.
Yeah.
And you know, just barbed wire everywhere. But there's certain parts of the border was nothing but old chicken wire fences, man, that had rotted halfway down. And if you wasn't careful, well, you'd be in Czechoslovakia or you'd be in Poland or something other, in which I have been.
Yeah.
I jump across the fence. Oh, I'm gonna take a piss in Poland today, you know. And if they would have caught, if they'd have caught me doing that, man, they would have put my ass under the jail, you know, as a border. They'd have used me for propaganda. They'd have said, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fence was built, people. The fence was built to keep people in East Germany. It wasn't built to keep people out. Nobody wanted to go there, but everybody wanted out.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let them out. And we actually was there to help people that were trying to get out of East Germany.
Now, these are East Germany citizens trying to get out of their own country.
They're Germans.
Yeah, yeah.
They took and after World War II, man, they split Germany up.
Mm-hmm.
Russia took some of it. U.S. took some of it.
Uh-huh.
And they started putting the wall up, you know, and the walls up and stuff. And then it got to, well, you know how communism was.
Oh, yeah.
And they issued us smelling cards, Soviet military liaison mission cards, which helped us to identify Soviet agents, man, during that time. The 80s it was the Cold War, and it was at the height of the Cold War when I was in Germany. And it just, man, I've guarded Hawk missile sites and silos and stuff like that. I've been in places I can't really talk about.
Yeah.
And done stuff because it's probably still classified, and even though it's been probably 35 years ago, you know, it's
probably still classified.
Oh, I won't.
I don't want to get you in no trouble.
Well, I mean,
like that.
The people that probably would, you know, but I mean, the military to me when I went in was a good thing because it helped me see the world.
Yeah.
I've been in several countries. I've been in over 19 countries that I know of. That I know of. Some of them I really loved. Some of them I didn't want to be in.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't by choice.
Yeah.
I will say that I've been in cold places, I've been in hot places, I've been in wet places, and I've been in dry places. And but you know,
here's something that I've always wondered, and maybe you can probably answer this. How long was you in the military from beginning to end, total? How many years?
Altogether, man, everything, probably right around 22, 23 years.
Okay, so you went through a few presidents.
I've actually met 2 presidents.
Okay.
I met Ronald Reagan.
Wow.
And I met George Bush Sr.
Yeah.
He came up to me, "How you doing, soldier?" We were standing in formation, man, in full dress greens, and we was standing there for like 8 or 9 hours straight. People were passing out, you know, because they were locking their knees, and they tell you when you stand in formation at attention, don't lock your knees.
Yeah.
And they were 7 World War II soldiers. It was a Medal of Honor ceremony. I met the Chancellor of Germany. I met the Prime Minister of Great Britain. You know, and I've met a lot of famous people, and I've been to a lot of places, man. That's real historic. I've been to the Eiffel Tower. I've been to France twice.
Wow.
There's no big deal, you know. I climbed to the top, went to the top of the Eiffel Tower, and I've been to the Arc de Triomphe, and I've been to Napoleon's tomb, and I took a cruise down the Rhine River, you know, and And we actually got to see bones from World War I, man, and the trenches in France are still over there, you know, and I've been in these big castles and stuff, drunk some damn good German beer and French wine, and and it's just ate some good cheese. And
what would you say? I mean, like, you went through a few presidents, like I was saying. What would you like? I know that when you join the military, you take an oath to defend your country.
Yes.
And
that oath never expires.
Yeah, it never expires.
It has no expiration date, Danny.
But what do you say when you're enlisted in the military and you may have
to disobey a direct order?
Yes.
Well,
what's the mindset when somebody's faced with a situation
I've actually been ordered to do stuff that went against my conscience, and I didn't want to do it, And I was wanting to buck against it, but they told me, they said, if you don't do this, you're going to prison. You know, you're going to be in Leavenworth making big rocks into little rocks. If you're lucky. They said, you may go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so you do it. You do what you do what you're told to do, and you don't question it, because I had a habit of questioning shit. You know, when we were ordered to go overseas, man. This was during Desert Shield. We painted our vehicles up and got everything ready to go, and they was giving us all these shots, and they gave us this pill, man. It was as big as my thumb, and they stood there and gave us a bottle of water, and they said, you either take this. And I was like, well, what is it? Yeah. Don't question what it is. And they made us sign a waiver, man, not to be able to sue the military, the U.S. government, if it made our babies be born, you know, naked or no teeth or no hair. Mm-hmm. I said, what's this gonna happen? What's this gonna do to us down the road? You know, what's this gonna do to me? I mean, is it gonna mess me up? Uh-huh. They said, well, it's something to in case you get gassed with sarin gas or something, you can fight longer. It was untested. It was in the.
You said you can fight longer, not save you.
It's all it did, man. It would just help you to live longer, because that sarin gas. Trust me, I was gassed. Yeah. I lost a left kidney from it, and my hands right now are in remission. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, I have big old chunks of meat that are gone in it.
Wow.
And my feet are the same way, and I mean, my head, my hair fell out.
Wow.
But you're exposed to some pretty nasty stuff in the military, man. Right now, I think they got lawsuits from down at Camp Lejeune from the drinking water and stuff.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being in Germany, man, and France, where they fought 2 world wars?
Yeah.
And you're living in that shit, and you're drinking it, and you're eating it, and you're bathing in it. And I mean, they still got, I mean, mustard gas, sarin gas. I mean, all, and the lead, the heavy leads that you're handling, and all the fuels and stuff, and the oils that you're putting in these vehicles and these tanks and these trucks. You're handling all this stuff, and ammunition. You're getting lead poison, heavy metal poison, and you don't even know it until you get older, man. And when you get older, this stuff don't work on you whenever you're doing it. You're 18, 19 years old, and you won't feel like you can take the world on. But later on, when you get in your 40s, 45, 50 years old, your health starts declining, and they don't know what the hell's wrong with you. You start having nervous problems, skin problems. You start having crazy cancers, man, that they don't know what caused it. And right now, through the VA, they're having me, my primary care doctor is telling me that I need to get tested. You've been in some areas, the burn pits and all this other stuff. You've been exposed to some pretty nasty stuff. And they're wanting to take, you know, test me, do special tests on me to see if I have I know I've been exposed to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The depleted uranium from the shells, and I mean, it's just all kinds of different things. I don't even know what all it is. I mean, I couldn't sit here and name it all, but I'd say probably me and probably 20 or 30 million other people's been exposed to it, and a lot of people are already dead from it.
Wow. I know that there is anything and everything that you can possibly be exposed to, you're probably exposed to.
Well, I mean, you know,
and it's looked at as kind of, hey, you signed up for this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
I was a volunteer. I went into the military voluntarily to make my life better, because I did not want to slave underground and die in the coal mines and breathe the air. And I sure as hell, I worked for McDonald's. I fried the first hamburger ever fried at McDonald's in Manchester when they opened it.
Really?
Yeah. They actually, I rode a motorcycle to work. I think I was like 15 years old.
Yeah.
They sent us to London to train at the London McDonald's, man. And I remember his name, what was his name? He owned it. I can't think of nothing, man. That's part of that brain fog, you know, and that's part of my PTSD is memory loss, and it's
right.
And it gets to the point sometimes, man. You walk into a room and you really don't know what the hell you're doing. Why am I in here, you know? And then you're like, oh, I remember now, you know.
I bet I do that every day.
Oh, God. I mean, we're all guilty of it, probably. And they say, oh, well, that's old age. Bullshit, you know?
No, I don't believe that's old age.
I'm not old. I'm old school, and I'm old. I'll be 57 years old here in probably a week or two.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I'm getting old, but damn, man, I shouldn't hurt and feel and be suffering like I feel like I'm 90 years old every morning. You know, I get up in my life, I'm having to take I have to go to the chiropractor, and I'm having to take my joints and my muscles, man, continuously hurt all the time, and my bones are, I have bone spurs, and I mean, from packing big heavy packs and jumping out of airplanes and helicopters and just doing stuff, whenever you're 18, 19 years old, that you're like, damn, if I could tell my younger self, don't do that, don't be so hard on your body,
Yeah.
I'd go back and tell my younger self, hey, wait till you get 50, man, you're gonna wish you didn't do this.
You may not feel it now, but you'll feel it later.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're jumping off these tanks and stuff, and you got 30, 40-pound rucksacks on, and you're jumping 4 or 5 feet and landing on your feet. Can you imagine what kind of impact that's doing to your knee joints and your back and stuff?
Well, when I worked at the penitentiary up there in Pine Knot in McCreary County, there was a super good dude that I worked with on the same shift. He was, his name is Joe Perda, and he was, prior service, and he was a paratrooper.
Oh yeah, been there, done that.
Several hundred jumps, and he finally retired because his.
I was a
legs
5-jump
banged.
chump. That's what the airborne
really?
calls me.
He retired. He just couldn't.
I did my 5. And the scariest one I ever did is I stepped off that ramp into the dark, and I didn't know what was below me, man. That was my 5th
So you
jump.
jumped at night.
I jumped at night. That's your 5th jump.
If it needs to be scary.
And I did it. I got my German airborne wings. And I got my bronze ones. I did the 5. I didn't go on and do the silver and the gold. And I got my German shoots a snare. It's a marksmanship award, for shooting their rifles and stuff. And they would train with us. They'd go to Ranger School. They'd go to American Airborne Schools and air assault. I went to Fort Campbell, did the air assault thing.
Yeah.
I was Pathfinder trained. I went through Pathfinder, and we did the mountain phase, the jungle phase, desert phase. I mean, like I said, I was highly trained. And I was ready for anything, man. I mean, I was
Sounds
ready.
like it.
I was ready to tackle the world. I mean, I didn't care.
Now, I don't want to get too deep or ask something that is disrespectful or drudge up any bad memories
No.
or anything
I
like
mean,
that.
it's fine, man. I mean, anything you want to ask me, go ahead. I mean,
don't.
if I can't say anything, I'll just tell you I can't talk about it.
Yeah. What? Not necessarily the most dangerous moment in your military career, but what's the most memorable moment to you in your career?
Good, bad, or otherwise.
Give me all 3. I know it's a lot.
Well, the worst thing I ever seen was have to put people in body bags, man. I mean, that's probably one of the worst things I ever had to do, was see one of my friends die, or my buddies, or just anybody, an American soldier, lose his life. And knowing that it was for an ungrateful nation or politician or something like that, and that's what I tell the younger generation. I'm not jumping on the younger generation or picking on the younger generation. I've just got a word of advice to the younger generation.
Well,
They need to man up. They need to start taking initiative, and need to taking responsibility, man, because the future, we're not going to be around all of our life to take care of our children, man, and stuff, and they're going to have to get strong. If not, this country's going to fall, and we're going to be took over. I think we're going to be took over from within already. We're not going to have to worry about airborne troops or ships rolling up on our borders and our beaches and stuff, man. It's going to be people that's going to cross this border, and that they're coming in here. There's some dangerous individuals that's been coming in this Hamas. I mean, you got saboteurs, you got assassins, you got Chinese nationals coming in here, and they're flying national Chinese flags. I mean, and then you have people like Ian Omar, who's from Somalia, and I mean, she's for Somalia. She is not for the United States.
No,
And then you got Tashida Ralib, or whatever her name is, and she is for Hamas. Hamas. I mean, she don't care. These people could give a damn about the United States, man. They're for furthering their own countries.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
And I mean, people like that shouldn't be in our U.S. Congress.
Oh yeah.
And it's just I don't know.
I know what you're saying. When you're talking about the younger generation, there is a lot of constitutionally minded younger people.
Right.
There is a lot of younger people that's got a set. that would
Yes.
stand up and defend
Oh, I mean,
the country if it come down to it.
I've met lots of kids like that,
They're
man. and I'm
hard
like,
to find.
I'm like, you know what? I said, you're a rare breed this day and time,
Yeah, it is rare. But they are out there, so we're not jumping on
No.
the younger generation by any
No.
stretch of the imagination.
But I
there
just
needs
think,
to be more of them.
Yes, I think that they need to start realizing, that there's more to life than video games and cell phones, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're living in fantasy worlds, man, and make believe worlds while our country's getting taken over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't understand it, Danny. I mean, that's part of what makes me so mad and so anxious and so aggravated and I'm like, why ain't people in World War II, man? We had troops that was lying about their age. There was people committing suicide because they wouldn't let them join the military. The people were actually, I mean, it's more patriotic. They're just the rare breed, man. The men and women that served in World War II and afterwards even, they waded into machine gun fire on Normandy beaches, man. They came out of them landing craft and the MG-42s cutting them in two, man.
Yep.
But they did it. They did it because of the flag and because of the country and because their families back home.
Yeah, I don't. Which movie is that they show that? Saving Private Ryan. That's a pretty good depiction. I feel
Yes.
like. I mean, I ain't got no experience with it by any means, but
There's actually veterans that got up that watched that movie for the first time, and it was depicted so.
Yeah.
They actually had it freaked them out, and they're like, oh shit, they was reliving that, man. And I had an uncle that served in he was in North Africa. He fought Rommel, and he's who I'm named after.
Oh.
And I had another uncle that was in the Air Corps. He was a pilot. He flew B-29 bombers.
Yeah.
He was shot down over Germany, and he went to a POW camp, and he escaped, and he went back, and he flew 25 missions. He flew his 25th, and he wanted to keep on going. They told him, they said, son, they said, you've been shot down, been a POW, you've been injured, you flew, you did your service, you did your time, go home.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually said, well, if you ain't gonna let me fly, I'll go to France, and I'll join their military, and I'll fly with them. Yeah. Or I'll go to China and I'll fly with the Flying Tigers or somebody.
See, that's something right there that's got to be just instilled and bred into
yes,
somebody.
and I mean, it's just
when you're told to leave, and then you're like, no, you can't. I don't think that you can make somebody that way.
Mm-mm.
You got to be.
It was a totally different. It was a totally different
You've already
time.
got to be made that way.
It was a totally different time, and it was a totally different era, and it's almost like it was a totally different world, man. That this was going on
compared to what it is now. It is
today.
I
mean, it's. I don't know. I think I'm a whole lot old school, and I'm old fashioned as hell. And I mean, I was poor. I was dirt poor when I was a kid. Didn't have nothing. I was raised up by coal miners and people that scraped a living out of the ground and grow crops. And I mean, we caught fish, and I've ate coon, possum, I've eat snake, I've eat a little bit of every damn thing, and I've eat bear meat. I've eat a little bit of everything that couldn't eat me. Could eat me, but didn't. Mm-hmm. But now, what time my daddy wasn't in the coal mines, he was hunting or fishing or something, or he was scraping roots out of the ground. He was doing a little bit of this, doing a little bit of that. He was trading knives. He's trading dogs. He's trading guns. He was doing whatever he could do, just to hustle to buy his food, to clothes. Mm-hmm. I remember in the summertime we used to go barefooted, man, because we didn't wear no shoes.
Yeah, my mom talks about going barefooted.
It was nothing. I mean, I could run across rocks, man. I could run in gravels. I mean, now I pull my shoes off and I walk out on the porch. I'm like, whoa,
Same way. I gotta have shoes on. The only time I ain't got shoes on is if I'm in the shower or in the bed.
Right. I mean,
that's embarrassing, but it's the truth,
Well, I mean, a lot of these older people can relate to that, man.
Yeah,
I mean, they know. But you're just talking about what was the good, bad, and this.
Yeah.
The bad of it was, seeing people die and the death and destruction and stuff. But the good of it is the traveling, man, seeing the world, seeing stuff that I would never been able to see or could afford to see right now.
That's true.
I make a pretty good living. I mean, I draw pretty good money. I draw my disability, my Social Security and stuff. And I'm not rich, but I'm not the poorest person out there neither. I mean, my family, I provide for them. I do whatever I can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love pocket knives. I trade pocket knives. I collect pocket knives. I collect those shotguns and hunting guns and stuff. You know, I hunt, I fish, I do whatever. What time did I feel like it?
Oh yeah.
Like I said, a lot of times, man, I hurt. I mean, I have to take medication every day. I mean, I'm not extremely old, but I'm getting old.
Right.
And I feel a lot older because I've been hard on my body, man, and I contribute a lot of it to being raised up hard,
Yeah.
and having to live hard and having to live rough, and then having to do stuff, and you know, like I said, I've been hard on my body, man. It's just doing stuff and that you wouldn't necessarily think. You know, at the time it's not hurting you, but later on, you know, it
comes
catches
back
up
to
with
you.
you.
It catches back.
Yeah.
It catches up to you.
My doctor at the VA, I've had skin cancer. They've had to take skin places off from me, and he's the same age as me. He's actually a major. He's still in the military.
Oh yeah.
He's my dermatologist. He told me
Wow.
I've been exposed to a lot of nasty shit, and he said, you know, the sun is your worst enemy.
Okay.
He said when we was 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, he said we was out getting sunburns and getting suntans and this and that. And he said that's the worst thing that you could ever do.
Oh,
He
yeah.
said because your skin is okay, he said, until about 30 years. And whenever, if people have been sunburned really bad when they're teenagers and stuff,
Yeah.
wait till they get about 45, 50 years old.
I've heard that.
The
Yeah.
the dermatologists, they will be starting to have to see them because
Oh God.
yes, he told me, he said your skin after 30 or 40 years, he said it starts showing stuff that happened in your teens. He
Yeah.
said comes out on you in your 40s or 50s.
I guess maybe it takes that long for it to progress enough to
It
make
does.
to appear.
That's
you
what
know,
he
to
said.
itself.
Because your skin is totally living and dying. It's constantly shedding
That
itself.
is true. Yeah.
And I mean, it just takes this stuff come out on you, man. As you get older, your body gets older. You start producing less hormones or whatever it takes to make you live. I mean,
Yeah.
testosterone, or you just, I don't know, man. It's just people they just eat the wrong stuff. And the food
Yeah.
nowadays, I mean,
Yeah.
it's processed and it's full of preservatives and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, back in the 50s, and people lived to be 80, 90, 100, over 100 years old. Now people are living to be 50, 60 years old, man. I've buried a lot of my friends, and I've buried a lot of veterans that they're too young. They shouldn't have died this early.
Yeah. They, you talk about people back when I was growing up that did live a lot longer than they are now,
Yes.
and I think that that's on purpose too. Myself, I think we're being set up, and people may call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I just kind of believe that it's population control in some way.
Well,
Underneath some type of, I don't know.
I'm same way
that's the
you
way I
are.
think.
I'm same way you are, man, because I'm not no conspiracy nut, but I'll tell you this. I ain't gonna go into detail about it too much.
Right.
We were called in 1988. We were called out on an alert, and we went to this place. People that are listening to this or watch it later on, and they listen to me tell this. They may say he's a liar. He's full of shit. You know, I don't care whether they believe me or not. I mean,
Right.
it's they can take it with a grain of salt. I mean, they can just ever have. I don't care. I don't care what they think.
Right.
We were called out on an alert, and we drew weapons, and they actually loaded us up into 5-ton trucks, and we drew mags, and we had loaded rifles, and they took us to a place, man. It was a crash. It was a crash site.
Okay.
I'm not going to say where it was,
Right.
but it was in Europe. It was in Europe, and this was in 1988. And when we got there, there were people standing around. You could see this thing was still running. It was sitting there glowing, man, and it was just making all kinds of. And they wouldn't let us. They said they set us up on a perimeter around this thing, and they made us turn our backs to it. And we were sitting looking at it, and there were people standing there. They're like, turn around. You can't be looking at this. I'm like, well, I want, and the guy that was standing behind me, we had to lock and load our rifles. They said, if anything comes, shoot it. If anything comes in your earth, shoot it, kill it, shoot to kill.
Really?
That was our order, shoot to kill. Ask no questions, shoot to kill. And we were standing here with loaded M16s, man, full battle dress, and this thing making noise, and they were working on it, trying to load it up on a flat bed trailer.
Yeah.
And it had tore it. Danny hit it when it wrecked, crashed or whatever. It had tore a trench in the ground, probably about 3 football fields long.
Wow.
And I mean, it tore trees up, it plowed, and it was sitting there, just plowed dirt up, sitting there running. The thing was still running. And there was one, it might have been a crew member or a pilot or whatever. I'd never seen nothing like it in my life, the suits and stuff they had on and what I said, listen, buddy, and if I'm going to be standing here and I'm going to have to kill somebody, possibly have to shoot another human being.
Yeah.
I want to know what the hell why I'm here, what's going on.
Yeah.
He said, you turn around and you look. And he said, when I tell you to turn back around, he said, you don't ask me no more questions. He said, agreed? I said, yeah. He let me turn around and look at this, man, and I observed what was going on. And he let me look for about 4 seconds. And then he said, now turn around. Don't talk to me again. Don't ask no more questions. I was like, yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
And then after they loaded it up on the trailer, his NASA was there. I will say that.
Okay.
And there were people walking around with lab coats on, and it was just Geiger counters and shit like that. Mm-hmm. After it was over with and done, they made us pick up the pieces of it and clean it up.
Yeah.
Do a detail, a police call, they called it.
Yeah.
We was picking up pieces of this thing, man, and they didn't weigh nothing. I mean, like paper. And they looked like they were big steel I-beams and girders and aluminum and like skin of it and pieces.
Yeah.
And this stuff, man, I mean, you could take and pick it up, and we were putting it in a big, like a dump trailer, man, and it was weightless. It looked like it weighed 500 pounds, and 2 people could pick it up, and you know.
Wow.
And the pieces of it, you could pick it up that looked like aluminum, and you could take and bend it, crush it up in your hand, and it'd pop right back out.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm telling you honest God truth, man.
That's some wild
and I
stuff.
was like, whoa. And there was markings on it that I've never seen.
Oh, really?
There wasn't no made in China, made in USA. There's shit on this pieces of this stuff I've never seen no markings like it before in my life.
That's wild. Right
and
there.
later on, after this happened, we cleaned it up and they dozed it back up and made it look just like nothing ever happened. Planted trees and everything there. I think they planted an orchard. I don't know.
Yeah.
But later on, I had a secret clearance, and we'd have to go 3 stories underground, man, to get our COIs or code books and stuff.
Uh-huh. And
I was a gunner on the Bradley, and I had I was through S2 and S1 stuff, and not a whole lot of people had secret clearances, And my pay grade only went so high.
Yeah.
And there was a 3 up, 3 down sergeant, E8
Mm-hmm.
that ran the room where we was at, and it was like 3 stories underground, concrete and steel, probably 2 feet thick. And I was in pretty tight with all the higher NCOs and stuff because in Germany, when I got there, we had ration cards.
Okay.
And liquor and coffee and tea and all that stuff and cigarettes was rationed because it was black market.
Okay.
You could make a fortune, if you... And I'd make friends with everybody who didn't smoke or drink or nothing. I'd get their ration cards, and I could get away with murder.
Yeah.
My first sergeant and everybody else, his Luther Tukes was his name. I never will forget him. Little black dude, and he was a first sergeant, and he was a Vietnam veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And in my platoon and headquarters, I had, what a guidon is?
I don't know.
It's a flag. When you fall out for formation, there's one dude that stands out front with the guidon.
Okay.
And it's headquarters company, and that was me.
Oh, okay.
When they would call, Reveille, the sound taps or the not taps. That's whenever you die.
Yeah.
But first formation, second formation, third formation, I was out there in front with the guidon. I was the guidon bearer. I'd go to the first sergeant's office and get it, and I'd go fall out.
Yeah.
Me and the first sergeant got to be pretty close, and I kept him he loved wild turkey, and he loved Marlboro Reds. And everybody, he said, get us some ration cards, Jones.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I was an E4 at the time, and you ever heard of the E4 Mafia?
I don't know.
Anybody that's been a Spec 4 specialist, I mean, we call it the sham shield.
Yeah.
It's shaped like it's like a shield.
Okay.
It's like this, and it had a circle on top, and it had an eagle in it.
Okay.
It's the E4 rank. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it so much I was E4 2 or 3 times. But I went to Amsterdam, loved the hash over there. And I mean, we'd smoke the blonde hash, black Lebanese, stuff like that back in the 80s. It was legal. Prostitution,
Yeah, it is over there.
red light districts, prostitution. I mean, hell, you take a boy out of Clay County, Kentucky, man, and you throw him in the middle of all this shit, and they're like, what the world?
Crazy.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that stuff's really relaxed over there.
You've got opium, you've got hash. I mean, you've got any kind of whatever you want to do, man.
Yeah.
Any kind of woman that you want, any color, any nationality. I mean, and they got cards. They go to the doctor. They would have a card, man, and they were licensed professionals.
Yeah.
And they actually had to go to the doctor every 2 or 3 days and get checked out. And they had cards, man. They show you their card. Hey, I'm clean, I'm healthy.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, they called it the red light district.
Yeah, I have talked to many a veteran in my time because I love talking to our veterans, and they all have talked about the red light district, and that's exactly the same way they describe it,
They be
It's
standing
a
in windows, man.
smorgasbord
It's like you
of
do window
women.
shopping, 3 stories tall.
Yeah.
And where I lived on Friedrichstrasse 10. And there was 2 doors up was called the 2020 Les Femmes.
Okay.
It was actually a bar. It was a whorehouse.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was French women. And you could walk into this lounge, sit down, and go to the bar. They'd fix you a steak. They'd fix you a drink. They'd bring it to you in negligees and nighties. I mean, these were my neighbors. and my wife, when she got pregnant, she came back to the United States, my ex-wife.
Yeah, yeah.
She had my daughter in America, and then she came back. Well, shit, I lived there for about 8 or 9 months in E4, lived right there. A house of prostitutes. I won't say whorehouse. I mean, I don't know. They were working girls.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, some of the prettiest women I ever laid eyes on, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, doll babies.
Yeah.
And they got to know me. I was a regular. And I would go there, and they would have my plate. When I walked in the door, they knew what I wanted. They'd have me a beer. They'd have my food right there. And I'd just sit there, and we'd talk. I mean, I was married at the time.
Yeah.
But I made friends with these people. And the German people, I loved them. Germany was it was a great country, and I just don't like Angela Merkel. I mean, I can't say much. She's a bad leader, in my opinion.
I'm not a fan.
No, but the German people now, I don't know how I could say this without being. I would love to go back, and I would go back if it wasn't for the Muslims that took it over in certain areas. The police side and the ambulances and the police won't even go into certain sections of Europe now because of Muslims.
Really?
They police their own selves and everything.
Oh, do they?
They don't allow
Got their own laws and everything like that?
Yes, Sharia law.
Okay.
Yes. You can't. I was going to go back and maybe go. We would go on I've been to the Netherlands. I've skied the Alps. Loved it. I mean, it was great. But now, France. Used to, if you spit on the sidewalk or threw a cigarette butt down, man, they'd throw you in jail.
Really?
Now there's like a third world country and some of the prettiest places in the world, and I'm like, man, I don't want to go, expose my family to none of this stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. They generalize France as being, all
romantic and all this other stuff.
It really is a third world country nowadays.
Yes.
It's really downtrodden, really bad over there.
Our
right
country,
now. And they hate us.
Yes. I mean, they just as soon as when I was in Europe, the only thing you had to fear was the Turks. They told you to stay out of the Turkish neighborhood because they'd kill you. They'd gut you, man.
It was kill on sight, wasn't it?
I went to a place one time, a bar, and I was bar hopping, and I was coming back home about 3 or 4 o'clock, and I decided I was going to take me a shortcut to get to my house. I went through a Turkish neighborhood, man, and I mean, you talking about, it was scary. And I mean, I got lost, and there was some of them, they found me, and they got me, and they took me where I needed to go. And then they had big old knives, I thought, well, they're going to kill me.
Yeah.
But they actually took me back and said, "Go this way. You know, don't come back here."
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "I'm lost. Please help me."
Yeah.
You know, I was drunk and I was lost, and they helped me.
That happens. Yeah, I know you know who Marcus Luttrell is.
Yeah.
Great American
Yes, sir.
war hero
Yes,
and
sir.
stuff. And I try to read and watch and listen to everything that man has to say.
Mm-hmm.
He went through a similar experience. What's the name of that movie that they made about him?
Oh,
It's an awesome movie.
I actually was watching some of it the other night. And there you go. Put me on the spot. I can't
remember it either, and I've watched it 3 or 4 times.
Somebody's watching this. They'll know.
Mark Wahlberg plays Marcus Luttrell in this movie.
Yeah.
And he gets in a bad situation, and he's helped out by one of the countrymen there, right?
Let's see here.
So that happens, and I say that to say this, is that...
What's the name of the movie that Marcus Luttrell played in as a Navy SEAL?
Yeah. There's people...
Lone Survivor.
Lone Survivor. That's it. Yeah, great movie.
Dude was wonderful.
Yeah.
When you can't remember shit, you know. When you suffer from CRS like me sometimes.
Yeah. So, he is over there in country and stuff, and he's shot up and
the people helped
all
him.
to pieces, and they helped him.
That's a true story, man.
That's a very true story.
And there's a bunch of Army Rangers went in there to try to help them. They got shot down. I mean, there's a lot of good people lost their life right there. And I mean, I knew some of them guys, and I knew some of the guys that was there, Black Hawk Down in Somalia. I knew some of those guys, those special forces at the Delta.
Mm-hmm.
I knew some of those guys right there. I actually knew one of them.
Wow.
And I went through pre-ranger and stuff. I went through all that training, man. I mean, great training, good training. I've got friends with the 75th Ranger Regiment. I have a second cousin right now who's getting ready to get out of the military. He's with the 160th SOAR, Special Operations Aviation Regiment up at Fort Campbell.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys that's in the 5th Special Forces up there, I know them. Wow. And I have family that served with the Special Forces. My nephew, 2 of my nephews, one's in military intelligence, the other one is, I don't know where in the hell these guys are right now. The last time I seen them was when my sister died, their mother.
Yeah.
And we buried her. And it's the last time I ever heard of them. I don't know where they are. It's untelling.
So somebody in your family has been in the military since forever.
Yeah. I mean, I've got family that's serving right now. And if I could, I'd go back and serve. I mean, right now, I'd be in Israel.
Yeah, that's one constant thing I always hear from military personnel, retired or active duty or whatever. If they're in country, they want to be over there.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of...
I have the will. I have the will
and
the want to do it. My body might say, no, you're too old. You're too broke down. You're an old war horse. Just go out to pasture, like they say. And when the Twin Towers fell, I went and actually tried to join back in the military. I went to the Army. I went to the Marines. I went to the Air Force. I went to everybody and tried to go back in. I wanted to pay back.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
I was showing you that tattoo on my arm right there. I had that tattoo put on there. It's a flag. It's an old panhead Harley motor. Amber did it, Bodine's daughter, over in Richmond.
Yep.
And she said, we're doing a thing, the Richmond Sentinel is doing a thing this week on patriotic tattoos. And she said, do you care if I put an American flag in behind that motor?
Yeah.
I said, go for it. She said, it ain't going to cost you a dime.
That's
said,
awesome.
All right.
There ain't no better thing to put on your body either.
No. I mean, my flag in my yard, I will say this, a lot of people might disagree with me, but I mean, it's the way I feel deep down in my heart, and it's my right. I fly my flag upside down. I wear my American flag on my jacket upside down. Mm-hmm. It's a signal of distress among military. And I feel deep down in my heart, and this is my opinion and my opinion only, that this country is in distress.
Absolutely. Did you notice my flag out there?
Yes, sir, I did.
Upside down and
kind of made me smile and made my heart get a little warm, man.
It's been that way for 3 years.
Well, there's a lot of veterans that I know that do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's several people in this county that actually have their flags inverted.
Yeah.
And I've actually had people go by my house and call me, "Are you okay? Are you all right?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay. Why?"
Yeah.
Well, I saw your flag.
Uh-huh.
And actually at one time I had a black flag up.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I still have it, and I will hoist it.
Yeah.
If I have to, and I'll start stacking bodies if I have to.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
Treason is treason, man.
Getting me fired up here, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, it's the way I feel. I took that oath. in 1986 as a 17-year-old boy, man. And by God, it don't expire. It has no expiration date. And as long as if I have to, I will defend this country. I defended it once. I'll defend it again.
Yeah, buddy.
That's the way I feel about it. I mean, and I'm not no terrorist or nothing like that. I'm a patriot. I'm a Christian. I'm a 32nd degree Mason. I'm a Knights Templar. And if I have to, I'll go defend the Holy Land.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can see it right. My Latin there. It's my Masonic stuff, and I'm a Templar.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I'm wearing a ring, but I don't have it on because of my hands, my arthritis.
Yeah.
But I'm a 33rd degree Mason in training. I'm a KCCH Red Hat.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes years and years and years sometimes, and they don't just give you that 33rd degree.
No, they don't.
And I mean, I've done a lot of things, seen a lot of things, made a lot of history, seen a lot of history, and I tell people about it sometimes. I've actually went down to the high school and talked to the kids and stuff, and they had me down there a couple of times, and I've talked to them, and I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy telling people my story. I mean, some stuff I can't talk about.
Yeah, I understand.
But I mean, it's probably could get me in trouble. And I mean, you sign a piece of paper saying that you won't discuss it, and what you could happen to you if you do discuss stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, they say it takes 10 years to declassify some stuff, and I mean,
you just never know. I mean,
you never know.
You don't want to chance it.
You never know who's listening.
You don't want to put anything, at jeopardy.
I don't know how many people is hearing this, or will hear it, or will see it.
So we don't want to do anything like that.
Right. I really don't want to talk about too much because
no, I understand.
You have a lot of, I call them enemies of the state, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you have, and you have no freedom of speech anymore. You have the Constitution is being torn down, and if they had their way, man, they would do away with it and rewrite it. They're erasing history, the Confederate monuments and all that stuff. And I mean, I'm not no prejudiced person. I mean, I don't have a prejudice bone in my body. Some of my best friends are black. Yep. I have friends that are they're Portuguese. I have friends that are French. I have friends that are Spanish. Yep. I have friends that are a lot of different. Greek, British, German. Mm-hmm. A lot of German friends. And I have friends from way down Panama.
You've been all over the world, so it's gonna make sense that you're gonna know a lot of people.
Right. I mean, I have acquaintances.
Yeah.
And I have friends.
There's a big difference.
There's nothing like a guy that's sitting there beside you, man. That's willing. You're young, and you're willing to die for each other.
Absolutely.
And I mean, there's a bond that it's hard to be broke. The only bond that I can say that's anything like military experiences is law enforcement, or like you guys in the prison, or first responders. Yeah. When I got out of the Army, man, I started being a first responder. I wanted to help my communities.
Yeah.
I was a hazmat incident commander. I was heavily trained firefighter, EMS, EMT when I left Clay County. I've been here for about 9 years now.
Yeah.
The first thing I did when I got to Jackson County, I left Foggertown Fire Department. My cousin Roy Rice was the chief. He said, get with somebody over there in Jackson County that's close to you. Mm-hmm. The closest fire department's Greyhawk. I went down there and they let me come to two meetings. The third meeting, they told me they didn't need me.
Oh, wow.
I said, you're turning away.
How could you not need another
person? I'm one of two people in Clay County that could shut down I-75 because of hazmat, train wrecks, truck wrecks. Handle hazardous materials. I mean, I trained for it like 3 months.
Yeah.
Went to school for it. And I mean, I could load people up in choppers. I could set up LZs. I mean, I've treated gunshot wounds. I've treated broken bones. I've treated burn victims. I've soothed people, man, as I watched the light go out of their eyes. I've tried to keep them calm. And that's something that I wanted to do, and I wanted to help my community. When I got down there and they told me they didn't need me, I said, well, what do you do whenever you have a wreck here? Yeah. Oh, we just shut the roads down. Mm-hmm. I said, okay. I said, you're turning down. There's not only me, there's another guy. And I said, you're turning down 2 fire. I said, I'm not come here, man, from Clay County to try to take your firehouse over or nothing like that.
Yeah.
I just want to keep my certification up and all this.
Well, yeah.
Well, man, when I first got to Jackson County, they treated me like a leper.
Wow.
And that's been 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And I actually went down here to McKee, and I talked to the chief and stuff down there and the mayor. And I filled out an application. They did a background check on me and everything to be a firefighter at McKee, volunteer. Never did call me, man. They said, we need people. I seen it in the paper. They need people.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, well, I filled out an application. They said, well, Pond Creek, we could use you over there, or we could use you. I mean, several different firehouses from other counties told me, said, come with us and train.
Yeah.
We'll take you gladly.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, I'm not going to beg nobody to be a volunteer firefighter.
Right.
And I tried to help my community here, and nobody wanted it.
That's crazy.
It didn't seem like, you know.
Can't have enough help. It's just like working in a prison.
Danny, I couldn't figure it out, man.
That.
I said, is it because I'm from Clay County originally that they hate me so bad? They want to ostracize me? And I have enough military training and law enforcement background and first responder and EMS and EMT. I was an EMT.
Yeah.
And I mean, they didn't want me.
That's insane.
Didn't need me. But I've told my neighbors, I live, you know where I live at, David Stubblefield and Brian and the Gabbards, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I've told them all, if you need me, I'm here.
Oh, yeah. I have people tell me quite often, you know, if it hits the fan, they're coming to see me.
Oh, that's absolutely.
And that makes me feel good that people think that they can rely on me. And
right.
It's not that they think they can. I believe they know they can. Because if it ever does hit the fan, I like to think of myself as probably one of the more prepared people in this county.
That's good. And I'm your neighbor.
And you are my neighbor.
We're not 5 minutes apart right here. And I
that's
mean,
a good couple people to have backing you.
It's good. And I have told Daniel. Daniel's a friend of mine, the sheriff. And I told him, I said, Daniel, if you ever need me, you call me. You know where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I've worked as an armorer for the state police. I've worked on their guns. They'd come to my house when I lived in Clay County. Mm-hmm. I'd work on their guns, man. I mean, you could not imagine some of the shape that their guns gets in the trunks of these cars.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I've picked up Mini 14s and M16s and stuff, and them rusted shut. Yeah. And AKs and stuff. I mean, and them, they'd come to me, hey, can you fix this? I heard using, you know, and I have friends that's in law enforcement. I was actually a deputy for 6 years. And I did undercover work. I was an undercover narcotics officer.
Yeah.
I bought dope and stuff for people.
Right.
But then, I mean, I had to quit because I didn't want to go up against a certain group of individuals that would cut your head off and your family right in front of you.
Yeah.
I said, it's not worth it.
Well, I probably know the group of people you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to mention no groups or no names or nothing like that because, I mean, if they hear you, they don't care, man. I sit and watch videos of what they done.
Yeah, these people out there that will field dress you.
Yes, I've watched it. I actually have on my phone somewhere a video of a guy, and this dude, he was surgical. I mean, he was like a surgeon. And within a matter of two minutes, he had this guy's arms. His arms was behind his back. He took them off like right here at the shoulder. Boom, it was off. Boom, it was off. And then next, right behind his knees. Boom. This wasn't his first rodeo, man. He knew what he was doing. Yeah. He's taking a butcher knife. And I mean, this guy was sitting here begging for his life. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they had him in a circle and had cars all around him with their headlights on him. And then after they cut his arms and legs off, I mean, they just castrated him and left him laying there. In front of his,
blinking eye, doing it.
They killed his family in front of him. And then they watched, you know, most of his family. And then they watched, you know.
That right there is what gets me, W.O., is that instance that you just talked about could so easily start happening here.
Yes.
It is happening here. I mean, you've got trafficking at an all-time high in the United States, in Kentucky. It's in pretty much every state that I know of in the United States, and it's up in the hundreds of thousands of children that go missing.
I was in London. I was in London at Walmart just here recently, man, and there was some people cruising around in a white van, unmarked.
Oh man!
And they were watching people, and when they pulled up and they was watching certain people, and I was standing there watching them, I pulled my shirt up and I showed them my 45, and they was like, "Oh shit!" They took off. I mean, they knew. I knew what they was
You
doing.
never know what's going to happen.
That's casing people out.
You never know what's going to happen.
And I tell my children, I have 2 daughters. One's 16 and she's beautiful, and I have another one. She's almost 12, and I mean she's beautiful too.
Mm-hmm.
And these are my babies, and I would kill over them. I mean, I would absolutely. I mean, without a hesitant, I'd slaughter somebody over my children.
You got to be ready to.
Yes, and I mean that's family is. I mean, family's family. It comes first.
Oh, absolutely.
And
got to.
I keep telling them, do not go to these places and get separated away from me out of my eyesight. I said, because they would grab you and throw you in a van and be gone with you in a Minnesota heartbeat.
Absolutely.
And I hate to have to instill that kind of a thought or a fear into a child of mine, man, because they shouldn't have to live and be hyper vigilant like that in a free, what we think is free. Mm-hmm. You're not free.
No.
This country's not free. If you think you're free, you're bad mistaken.
Yeah.
The government could wipe your ass out in a blink of an eye, and you would be gone.
Absolutely.
You would be gone. I mean, if they wanted you gone, you'd be gone. If they thought you're a threat or think you're a threat,
yeah.
You say too much, you get eliminated. You get like your social media accounts will get shut down. I mean, you can't say certain things. You can't put certain things on there. I mean,
now I want to ask you a question real quick. Do you think in the event that something like that happens where the United States government turns on its own citizens, what do you think the military would do?
That's unconstitutional, man. I mean, the military, first of all, when you join the military, you swear an oath to defend the Constitution from enemies, both foreign and domestic. And by God, we're not going to have to worry about foreign people. We're going to have to worry about domestic people.
Yeah.
Our own government is already threatened. Joe Biden has threatened Governor Abbott in Texas of taking F-15 jets and wiping out the Texas National Guard.
Sure did.
Now, that bastard took an oath just like we did in the military, and he swore to defend. Whenever our leader, supposedly of the free world, threatens to kill some of his own military and his own citizens, that's pretty damn bad, Danny.
That's pretty bad, but
and I mean, that goes against the Constitution. I studied constitutional law in Texas A&M. I'm a double history major.
Okay.
Yes, I'm an educated hillbilly, and I mean, I know what freedom is supposed to be, and what freedom was, and what freedom still could be.
Oh yeah.
And we need to get rid of some of these tyrants that are ruining this country, and the countries that are around us that are our allies are like, why has the people of the United States not even done something? Why ain't 1776 2 happened?
Yeah.
Or Civil War 2.
Yeah.
And I would not want to raise arms against one of my countrymen, but when it comes right down to defending freedom and the flag and Constitution of this country, which the country was founded on, our founding fathers founded this country with the Constitution. Mm-hmm. It should be the extreme law of the land. It should be.
Should be.
It's not.
No.
It's not. Our government has failed us.
Yeah.
And people need to realize that. They're throwing you crumbs from the table, man. Mm-hmm. They're feeding us crumbs off their table. They're getting richer as we get poorer. And I mean, I don't know, man. The more and more I think about it, the more I talk about it, the more mad I get, and my blood pressure is going up. I'm gonna have to do some diaphragmatic breathing. Yeah. When I get home, my alarm's done went off. That's way past my medicine
This
time.
stuff gets me pumped up too. I'm very passionate about it, and everything you're saying, I agree with. It's crazy times, and
well, it's good to know there's like-minded people, around, man, because in the eyes of the United States and the people, that we're extremists. They're labeling us as extremists, man. We're like Nazis, modern day Nazis.
And
all we are, we're freaking patriots, man.
That's it.
If you love your country and you love God, and you love your freedom and you want your offspring to have a life like it used to be, man. This used to be the greatest country in the world, Danny, but it ain't no more.
No.
It's not no more.
There's a lot of people.
There's a lot of worse places than the United States of America. And so many people hate this damn country. Why don't they get out like these damn movie stars? I'm going to leave if Trump gets elected, blah, blah, blah. If they hate the country so bad, why don't they go like they said they was going to do? You know why?
There's a lot of them threatening it again. I just hope they keep their word.
Well, because it's one of the greatest countries in the world. And it is. And it will be again.
It will be.
I think that the tree of liberty is going to have to be fed with the blood of patriots and tyrants, man.
It's time.
Eventually.
It's time.
It's not if, Danny, now it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
And I feel this deep down in my heart, and I hate to have to live and be hyper vigilant, but if it's going to happen, let it happen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Where I can make a difference.
Yeah. If it's bound to happen, I would rather it happen while I'm willing, body, and able
Yes.
to
Yes.
help protect somebody.
Yes.
Now, I know that
And
you
just
know.
for us talking about this right now, they could get us for subversion and stuff like that. Just being freedom of speech, talking about.
That's true. It's scary stuff.
It is.
That they.
It is.
I don't know. There is a group of people in this county, and I know that you're aware of it. A few years back, we come together and made Jackson County a Second Amendment sanctuary.
That's good.
We went to the court and they passed an ordinance and everything. There's about 2,700 people on a Facebook group that I've ran for a few years.
Yeah.
I think you're a part of it.
I'm aware of what you stood for over
Yeah.
the years. I've watched you. I've followed you.
And I appreciate it. And I believe, and I keep up with it. I still post on there and everything. I'm trying to motivate people and be hyper vigilant and stuff like
Right.
that about things that's going on. And there is a lot of people in that Facebook group where I could contact them and be like, hey, meet up here.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Right.
It's go time. Because I have set things up. I'm not going to say exactly what, but there is a group of people within that group that's ready to go.
I used to. You remember when Bevan came here, Governor Bevan?
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine,
Okay.
and I'm proud to say that he is. He's great. He's a great man.
Yeah.
He just. I mean, I like him. He's a family man. Whenever Antifa and Black Lives Matter was threatening to come to Pikeville and burn the city down and destroy all the monuments and stuff that was there, he called upon me and some of my friends. We had a little group going, 3%ers. I don't know if people are aware of what 3%er means.
Yeah.
But during George Washington's time, and whenever we were fighting for our freedom from Great Britain and the King, 3% of the people stood up, and they helped the Continental Army overthrow the tyranny and the stuff that was going on in this country, and that's how it became the United States. 3% then.
Yeah.
Imagine what 3% could do now.
Oh yeah.
3% just a drop in the bucket of what's out there.
Oh yeah.
And there are people like me and you that ain't lost faith in this country, that are still believe in God, they still believe in country, they still believe in the old ways.
Yeah.
And what the flag stood for, and we respected our police officers, and we respected our elders, and we respected our betters. And people have lost that respect, man. I mean, it's not, to me, respect is earned, but it's you can also give it. And I believe in if you to get respect, you have to be respectful.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't disrespect people and go around, offending people. It's so easy to offend people nowadays, though, man. You have to walk on eggshells, and you got to bite your tongue.
Yeah.
And by God, I get tired of biting my tongue. My
I'm
tongue
not
gets
real-
sore, dude.
I'm not real good at it.
Yes, and it's just. I stand on the soapbox sometimes at the flea market, and I start preaching, man, and I get going, and they're like, damn.
Yeah.
I have to get calmed down sometimes, man, because people are like, you need to watch what you're saying.
No.
I shouldn't have to watch what I say, man, because of the First Amendment.
That's still a real thing for people that don't know,
Right.
I had a guy at work tell me a few years ago, we got to talking about this type of subject matter, and I got fired up, and I was almost sweating.
Yeah.
And my blood pressure was high, and I was red
I'm
in the
starting to get
face.
fidgety right now, man.
I'm telling you, and I was like, dude, I'm sorry, I just get fired up over this stuff, And I said, I'm sorry if you think I'm being a dick or whatever.
Right.
He's like, I don't see it that way. He said, I see it as being passionate.
There's touchy,
but
some of the touchiest subjects that you ever will is religion and politics. I mean, and everything seems like if you get into a conversation with somebody nowadays, everything comes back to politics. Everything the world revolves around politics. People are like, I don't even want to hear that shit no more.
Yeah.
Let's just not even talk about politics. How can you not talk about politics?
Yeah, that's true.
Whenever it's affecting everything in your life, everything in this country, politics is affecting it.
It really is.
And I get disgusted with politicians, man, lying to the American people when they're supposed to. They work for us, number one.
Absolutely.
By God, we don't. I mean, we don't work for them.
No.
I'm starting to get tore up. But anyway,
You're all right.
They've lost track of what they're supposed to be there. Why we voted them in there.
They was put there by us.
Yeah, they was put there by us to help us, to defend us, to help make life better and easier for us, not to get there and get rich. If you look at the people that are up there in Congress, that are politicians, that are career politicians like Biden and Pelosi and all of them that have been in there 40 or 50 years, look at their salaries, Danny.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't become freaking multi-millionaires being a congressperson.
No.
No. The big pharmaceutical companies and corruption is what made them rich.
That's absolutely what it is.
They sold us out. They're, like I said before, they're feeding us crumbs off the table, by God, and they're getting richer and richer, and they're getting more powerful.
They are.
And in the eyes of the world, the United States is a laughing stock. Joe Biden, man, he's a puppet.
Absolutely.
They're pulling his strings, and the man ought to be in a nursing home, living out his golden years, and instead of pooping his pants, man, on national TV in front of foreign dignitaries.
Well, it's not even a secret anymore that he's incompetent.
No.
It's a very well known fact that the guy isn't cognitively aware.
No, he gets lost, man. I mean,
you see it every time he steps out onto a stage,
and they're trying to make it comical, man. I mean, it's his wife ought to be ashamed of herself. The people that are around him, his handlers, they ought to be ashamed of themselves, man. The man should, in my opinion, this is my opinion only.
Yeah,
I think that he needs to be. I feel sorry for him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't hate Joe Biden.
Well,
he's a career political criminal, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he talked about the blacks. He's talked bad about them. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Sure did.
And I mean, it's out there for people to see. It's not just me saying this.
No, it's out there. You can find it.
Look it up. It's facts. I mean, it's not just me saying, "Oh, well, that's bullshit." He's lying. He's just talking. Blah blah blah. It's facts. It's out there. It's internet. Now, Google it. I just Googled Lone Survivor, man. I mean, Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah.
He's in Congress.
Yeah.
And I seen him just the other day talking for us, man.
I did too.
There's all kinds of people up there trying to make a difference, but their opinions and their voices, man. I mean, they're if they don't band together and try to stand together, then it ain't gonna. It has to be many. It has to be legion, man. I mean, they have to band together, and they have to try to want to make a difference. Greed has ruined this world.
Oh yeah.
It's the love of money is the root of all evil.
Oh yeah.
Money's not. The love of money, the love of riches is the root of all evil. Man, I tell you what, the happiest I've ever been in my life is some of the poorest times I've ever been.
Oh yeah.
When I had nothing.
Absolutely.
No worldly possessions, no nothing. I had God, and I had my family around me, and I had a few good friends that I could talk to. That I could trust in, that would be there for me. That's my riches.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't take it to heaven, will you? You can't take it in the ground, man. We're all going to be put in the same size hole. I don't care how much money you're worth, how much money you make.
People's too fixated on the worldly possessions.
Yes.
But all you got to do, and I've said this on this podcast before, all you've got to do to control society is to make it trendy.
Right.
To make it cool.
Yeah.
No matter how absurd it sounds, if you can get the latest celebrity to endorse it, or to say something, or to wear something, or something like that, everybody will accept it. One of the biggest pieces, and I'm going to say this, I hate this person. If you can get...
Is it a pop singer?
Yes.
Okay. Billionaire?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's her name? I don't even know her.
Taylor Swift?
If you can get
Taylor
Swifties? Swift to back something, it's golden.
She won 2 Grammys last night.
That is so sickening.
My 16-year-old daughter has every album she's ever made. She wears her clothing.
Oh, my God.
And I'm telling you, man, I mean, at Taylor Swift albums, Taylor Swift cassettes, CDs. Well, not cassettes. That's old school. That's like me, school, man. Yeah. I've got cassettes at home, I mean, that I've had for 35 years.
Yeah.
Man. And my kids like, what is that, Daddy? I said, that's a cassette. That's before the CDs. Now the CDs, man, have become a thing of the past, and albums are coming back. I can't wait for the 8-track to come back and the Billboard, all this stuff, man. Converses, man. I mean, the All-Stars, Chuck Taylor. I wore Converses and shit whenever I was a kid. I was cool and didn't even know it, trendy, man. And I've got tennis shoes and pants and T-shirts and stuff. They're 30, 40 years old, and my kids are like, that's vintage, Daddy.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's probably worth some money.
Yeah, but
I've got a pair of cowboy boots that I have when I was 14-year-old that's older than my wife. I said, I got T-shirts that are older than you. I mean, I look at kids, I'm like, damn, I guess I am pretty old, man, because I like this T-shirt, this Def Leppard T-shirt I got on.
I saw that.
I saw them in concert, man. I went to Monsters Rock over Nuremberg in 1987, a 3-day concert, saw over 40 different bands playing, man, and I had the best time of my life. That's one of the good times that I had.
Yeah.
I was at the Hopbrow Lowenbrow house drinking Lowenbrow and the big old mugs about that tall, man, and the big barmaids, at the Oktoberfest. I loved it. I went to 3 or 4 different Oktoberfests, and they ain't nothing. You talk about a party. You've never been to a party till you've sat and eat bratwurst and brochen, and you drink Hefeweizen or Pilsner in the big mugs, and you drank about 7 or 8 of them, and you're trying to carry them home without breaking them, man, get back to the barracks. And I mean, it's just, you're stumbling around, you buddies, you're having to help each other, you're having to drag them. And then nobody bothered us, man. I mean, it was just, I went to Madrid, Spain one time, and I watched a bull fight. On the bus there, I mean, it was a 3-day pass, and I'll tell this little story. It won't take long. But on the bus over there, we drank Coronas the whole way there. Well, hell, by the time I got there, I was plastered just about. And then, you ever seen Monte Alban Mezcal tequila? It's got a worm in the bottom of it, about yay long, big old grub worm. I mean, I ain't drinking that shit. It's got a worm in it, you know. Well, by the time we got to the bottom of that bottle of mezcal, we was fighting over who's going to get the worm. Yeah. We was sitting there holding it up, letting it suck down till the worm touched her tongue, and then we'd take and try to suck the worm in her mouth. Yeah. Well, finally we drank it all, and we was in the bleachers. We never got to watch the bullfight. We was passed out. Woke up 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning and stumbled back to the hotel, missed the whole damn bullfight. Oh, yeah? And, I mean, they could have killed us, robbed us, or whatever.
Pre-party too hard.
They took care of us, man. The people that was there, they watched over us in Spain. Yeah. And, I mean, it ain't like that now. They'll cut your throat, somebody would, and rob your ass just in a Minnesota heartbeat. Oh, yeah. The world's not like it was, man, 35, 40 years ago. It's changed. The world ain't like it was 10 years ago.
Do you think there's any coming back from it?
Yes. It may not be in our lifetime.
I don't think it'll be in our lifetime.
It'll take 20, 25 years, Danny, if the world stands that long. If Jesus Christ don't come back and the rapture don't happen, if you're a Christian and you believe in this type of stuff, the old people or the Christians now, they think we're living in the end times, man, and I can relate to that. I think that the Bible is fulfilling itself every day. If you're a religious person and you believe in that type of thing, I'm not trying to force religion on nobody. This is just me talking. It's just my belief and my belief only. Mm-hmm. And I am a Christian. I mean, I say a few dirty words and stuff, but my heart's in the right place. I pray to God. Yeah. God has saved me. He has saved me. He has a purpose for me, man. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it is, and I tell him every day, use me as a tool. I don't care. Use me any way you want to. Yeah. I'll be a martyr. I don't care. I'll go to heaven. Yeah. People say, well, you ain't going to go to heaven. Look at you. You're a sinner. Look at your body. You have tattoos all over you. Yeah. You curse.
Mm-hmm. I'm told the same thing.
I don't care. That's to me, that's being a hypocrite, man.
It is.
I hate a hypocrite.
Oh, I do too.
That's one of the reasons why I really don't attend church regularly is some of the places I've ever been, the most hypocritical places I've ever been in is church.
It really is for me too.
And it's nothing. It's nothing against Christians, or I believe that people ought to be able to have fellowship and Mm-hmm. But the Bible also says pray in the privacy of your own closet, man.
Yeah, it does.
And you can actually be a good Christian without going to church. You don't have to have fellowship.
I've had that same argument with my family, because I don't attend church regularly.
There's good people in church and there's bad people.
There
They're
is.
everywhere. It's everywhere, Danny. It's not
everywhere.
just church. It's not
And
just
I'm a
politics.
firm believer too that you don't have to attend church to make it into heaven. I am very. I don't know. My wife says I'm a half glass empty type of guy. You know, I always kind of look toward the negative of things, and it's not that
Half
I'm
empty, half full.
yeah, I'm not. I don't believe I'm a negative person, but I kind of try to see it about to hit the fan,
Right.
so I can get out of the way. You know, I once heard a guy say one time that there is two types of people in this world. There's the people that they see it about to hit the fan and they just stand there and get hit with it, and then there's people that see it about to hit the fan and they step out of the way. I'm that type of person.
If I see something wrong, man, I'm going to stand there. I'm not going to stand there and watch it happen. I've seen people hurt. I've seen people bleeding. I've seen people needed help, and I stepped up, one of the first person there, and helped them.
Yeah,
I've put my own life in danger, man, to help people before. Mm-hmm. I don't care. It's what's right's right, and what's wrong is wrong. In my eyes, if you stand by and you watch another human being, man, being mistreated and stuff like that, then you ain't got no sand.
No, that's right.
I mean, to me, I'll be the first one to step up whenever somebody's wrong and tell them. I'll tell them straight up, hey, I don't care.
Well, you know, I said this. I told my wife this, and I put this on Facebook years ago. And everybody knows I'm a Second Amendment advocate, NRA life member.
Me too.
And I never leave home without something on me. And I said this to my wife, and pretty much everybody that knows me knows that if you're out with me or around me in a building or a save a lot or anything like that, and something happens,
right,
I'm going to help you. I'm going to do what I can to make sure you get out of there. If some idiot, like what happened at Richmond Walmart a couple of weeks ago, where that dude just freaked out in there and started cutting himself up, if I'm anywhere around you, if I can help you, I'm going to keep you safe if I can. You know, it's not for vanity's sake, or I'm not looking for any type of props or anything like that. But that's the way it is.
People really don't know what to do. They've never been trained. They've never seen stuff like that.
That's true.
What are they gonna do whenever it comes to their doorstep, Danny? A lot of people's like, I don't care about this shit. It don't apply to me. You know.
You better change that way.
I'm like, what are you gonna do whenever it comes to your doorstep? It's gonna be too damn late then.
I had some very unwelcome guests come to my house about 6 or 8 months ago, and they're I won't say, but the name of their organization is 3 letters.
Oh, there's plenty of them 3-letter organizations in this country that need abolished, in my opinion.
This is one of them. I know you know who I'm talking about.
They've been to my house too.
Yeah, they rolled up in a big blacked out Escalade, and it was 3 younger guys, and they come up and wanted to know certain things about what I had in my house. And I told them, I said, you better get back out that gravel road. You know, I said, that's the best thing that can happen to you.
I know the organizations you're talking about. I'm on first name basis with some of them. And I know their names. And this has been 2 or 3 years ago. They came to my house, and I was sitting there, and they came up, and my wife said, who in the world? I said, that's them. Let them in.
Yeah.
I was sitting there in my chair in my underwear with my phone, sitting there playing on it.
Yeah.
Hell, I don't know. Hell, I could have been watching Pornhub or something. I don't know. And I don't know. But the whole time they was there for like 45 minutes, and I schooled them on the Constitution and the Second Amendment and the complete. I just told them. I said, you guys you're fine. You're law enforcement. I'd die for you. I'm ex-law enforcement. They knew that. Yeah. They knew what they was there. They gave me a warning, this and that. Said, you signed for too many of this. Signed for too many of that. And I'm like, you know what? I said, I'm not a convicted felon. I've never been in any trouble. I said, it's my right. You see these $100 bills? They're not worth anything. You guys are hyperinflating the economy, and the $100 bills are not going to be worth anything but to wipe your ass on or start a fire with. I said, you put them in the bank, they won't give you no interest on them. I said, I buy hard currency, man. You know what the currency of the future is going to be, Danny? Ammunition, knives. I don't have to say pew-pews. Just clothing, food. I'm like you. I have gasoline. Yeah, you hear about the gas 100 to 500% on it?
Yeah.
What they gonna do when gas hits $15, $20 a gallon?
Gonna be living in road warrior
Diesel.
times.
Guess what? When gas gets that high, how much is groceries and electric bills gonna be?
Yeah, buddy.
I mean, it takes diesel fuel to haul these groceries, and they're not just gonna haul them for nothing.
Yeah.
If you think $850 won't buy you a buggy load of stuff for your house and food to last you maybe a week, 2 weeks if you're lucky, what do you think it's going to be when $850 you can pack it in 2 bags?
Mm-hmm.
People, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's steadily
I mean,
on its way.
The economy sucks. We're in a recession where everybody wants to believe it or not. We're almost in a depression. My mother was born during the Great Depression. My grandmother raised 3 children through the Great Depression. She fed them corn. She told me one time, man, they boiled a boot and drank the juice from it, and coffee grains, made gravy from it and stuff. I mean, my grandma, man, she was one of the people in this world that I respect the most. She taught me a lot about life. She taught me a lot. She was a Cherokee Indian, full blood.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about, my cousin was. I'm talking about 100% red blood, born on a reservation, Indian.
Yeah.
And my mother was too. And my sisters, if you see them, if you look at them, I mean, they're dark skinned. They got long black hair.
Uh-huh.
I mean, high cheekbones and stuff. I mean, I got a beard and stuff. People say, he ain't no Indian. Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I'm 66% Cherokee Indian.
Yeah.
And when I fill out paperwork, I'm not white.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Native American.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere. It's on my driver's license. It's on my birth. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And people's like, well, you're a white man. I said, I ain't white. I ain't got nothing against white people.
Yeah.
I think everybody should own one. That's a joke.
That's a joke. Well, listen,
I'm sorry I took so long.
No, I've enjoyed every minute of it. We can
go.
go as long as we want. There ain't no time limit on this.
Right.
I am going to cut to a commercial right quick, everybody. So just hang in there just a second.
Introducing Dee's Grilled Salsa. With 4 delicious flavors like habanero, Carolina Reaper, pineapple, and original, you're guaranteed to find a favorite. Follow us on Facebook at Dee's Grilled Salsa to order.
I have full med kits and stuff like that put back. It's just
Yeah.
from
Well,
Fort
anybody
Campbell.
better have stuff prepared. They
Right.
for real should.
Right. I mean, if you don't have any kind of medical training or anything like that, go outside sometime when you're bored. Try to start you a fire, just using a fire stick, or something. Just try it. Try to make a fire with nothing but a knife and a fire stick or something. I mean, and see if you can do it.
It's not as easy as it might seem.
No, I mean, and see if you could.
Even with a striker.
See if it's a striker. That's what I'm saying, and just to see if you can do it.
It's something that's lost on a lot of people. But
boil water, and fix you a meal
yeah.
outside in the woods.
I like watching them survival videos on YouTube and stuff. There's some very good ones out there that can teach you a whole lot.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people's gonna be unprepared, Danny. Not if, but when. Yeah. What you ever heard of an EMP?
Yeah.
Electromagnetic pulse. I mean, there will be no internet. There will be no cell phone service. Yeah. You, by God, will be going back in the 1800s and the horse and buggy. The vehicles won't even move.
That's true. I mean,
unless you've got an older vehicle with a set of points in it.
That's the reason why they're trying to get everybody to go to these electric vehicles.
You'd have to have a Faraday cage, man. You'd have to have a Faraday cage and have the stuff put in it shielded with lead.
Anybody better have them like some type of radio system, ham radio system set up. I've got one.
I've got CBs and stuff,
I've got CBs where I can hook up.
If we have to, we'll do smoke signals.
Yeah, we can do it.
Just kidding, but still. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, people are so unprepared nowadays. They're so used to living soft. I mean, having everything handed to them and stuff. It's too easy to go to the grocery store and just get something, man. I'll just run down here to the store and get it. What are you gonna do whenever you go to that store and ain't nothing on the shelf?
Scary thing.
Yeah,
very scary. But it's very possible too. I think it'll happen. All they got to do is just I mean, it's very little that they get.
Look at all these people going. There's a certain race of individuals that are going through and they're buying all the gas stations and stuff up. I don't have to say what.
Yeah, yeah.
But what do you think if they get a phone call and they say, shut the gas off? You ever thought about that?
They'll shut it off. They'll shut it off. Excuse me.
And these cards and stuff. People want to get away from cash. Cash is king. People, as much as you can, use money. Use cash. If people don't take cash, don't shop with them.
Yeah, I am guilty of throwing that card out for a lot of things. You know, I am guilty of that just because of convenience and stuff. But here in the last probably month or so, I've tried to get back to carrying cash on me.
Yeah.
You know, it's in emergency times, you know, cash will be more valuable than it is now.
Well,
you know,
people were talking about stockpiling silver and gold and stuff like that. You can't eat that.
No.
Stockpile food, stockpile ammunition, stockpile clothing, stockpile stuff that you can use, trading goods, hard currency. And I call it hard currency. It is the currency of the future, people. Medical supplies, boots, clothing, blankets, sleeping bags, canned food, medicine, any kind of something that you can get like that. Put it up. Be prepared. Put you back some MREs or something. They last 20 years or longer.
Canned food.
Yeah, canned food, anything.
We have found out here in the last probably...
Learn how to salt meat.
2 or 3 years.
Grow a garden, you know.
That's true. In the last 2 or 3 years, me and my wife has been, you know, preparing and stuff like that. And we found out that they make about everything with a solar panel attached to it.
Yeah.
Solar panel powered radios, flashlights, and stuff like that.
I've got a solar panel, a little small one.
Oh yeah.
And it can power my phone, or it can power an emergency radio or something. If you
very important.
The phone ain't gonna be worth a damn.
No, it ain't.
People, if you need to try to wean yourself off these cell phones as much as you can. Yeah. Try it every day a little bit. Just put it down.
Now, you mentioned a while ago you notice people in restaurants and stuff. Husband and wife by themselves on their phones. I've noticed that too, and I just sit there and shake my head because when we go to a restaurant or something, we tend to put our phones down and actually have.
I tell my kids when we go to eat, leave phones in your room.
Oh yeah.
And you know the quickest way to see your children. Shut down the Wi-Fi. They'll come out of they'll come right out under the cracks and crevices. They will be in the living room. Hey, Dad, something wrong with Wi-Fi.
We did that last night. We can control it, you know, and turn it off.
I'm like, well, what are you gonna do whenever there ain't no Wi-Fi or no internet? What are you gonna do then? Yeah. And I tell them all the time, you know, be good to your brothers and sisters. Talk to your friends. Learn how to use social skills. Look people in the eye when you talk to them. You know, I said, the younger generation has no social skills. They wouldn't know the first way to walk up to somebody and start a conversation.
That's true.
They'd be like, I don't know what to do.
That's true.
How am I going to talk to this person? They might offend me.
Well, everybody'd rather live in a fantasy world, in these games and stuff like that.
It's not no fantasy world. I mean, people that your mommy and it's not going to be around her whole life. What are you going to do whenever something happens to mommy? You're going to start taking care of yourself, and by that time you're probably 30, 40 years old. You've never had a job. You've never paid any Social Security in. You've never had nothing. Who's going to take care of you then? You're going to be screwed. I mean, that's basically. I mean, you're going to have to sell your games and everything just to try to buy you a can of soup beans or something other. And learn how to live. I mean, I got a daughter, 19-year-old. She just moved out on her own. She's going to college, and she's working part-time and going to school. And she's like, Dad, I don't know what to do. My health insurance costs so much, and she's got health problems. And I said, you know what kills me, Cheyenne? You're trying your damnedest to try to make it, and you're working your butt off and trying to get an education and this and that. And there are people jumping the damn border, and they're coming in. They're giving them $4,000 or $5,000 a month. They're putting them up for 2 or 3 years at a time. They're giving them phones. They're giving them free health care. And they're wanting to give them Social Security now and make them military members and make them police officers. And these people have never paid no tax, don't have a Social Security number.
That's true.
And they live better than most Americans do nowadays.
They do.
And people's like, no. Better wake up.
Better
Yes,
wake up.
They
Yeah,
are.
They are living better.
They know it. Look what they did in New York the other day, man. They about beat these 2 police officers to death.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you see that?
Heard about that. Yeah.
And then they tried to catch them. They let them
They
go.
let them go.
Let
That
them go.
guy- that
And there
guy-
was a veteran there. Did you see him?
I saw that. Yeah.
Made him a $100,000 bond, man, to get him out. He
Sure
was
did.
trying to do the best thing he could,
Yeah.
trying to help.
And one of the worst parts about that is that all that happened. They let them keep people go, and nobody's saying nothing about it.
Well,
But that's New York.
They said we're going to try to get them and deport them. They don't even know where they're at. They hopped the butt. They're probably in
gone.
California somewhere
They're
right
gone.
now,
They're
or
over.
Chihuahua or something.
They're over in California.
Yeah,
I guarantee
yeah.
it.
I mean, when the shit hits the fan for them, they head to California because they know they'll take care of them out there.
Oh yeah, they're well protected.
People in Texas are fed up with it, and people in New York are starting to get fed up with it. Whenever they start taking their own kids out of school and putting illegals in there in their spots and trying to teach them,
that happened.
it did happen. It's
Yeah.
a fact. I mean, I'm not going to say nothing on this podcast right here that is not factual.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say, well, this is my opinion. And I did say it's my opinion on certain things, but that's just my beliefs. I mean,
Oh yeah.
this stuff that's going on in this country is real, people. It's real, Danny.
It's real. It's the scariest time that I've ever lived through.
Hey, I seen this shit happen in third world countries that I've been in, but I never thought it'd ever be here. I actually won't wear my NATO medals, man, because I seen atrocities and war crimes committed in NATO, and me standing there and NATO doing it. We was giving medicine and food and stuff to people. Let's turn it around, man. And we was giving them aid, humanitarian aid, and they was turning. We stand here with guns, and they standing. And as soon as these people rounded the corner, the warlords and people were taking it from them. They were raping women, they were killing people right in front of us. We couldn't do a damn thing about it because of rules of engagement.
Oh yeah.
And NATO wouldn't do nothing. And I mean, I ain't gonna say what I did do once. I'm not. I can't say it. I'll not say it here. I'll tell you later on.
Yeah.
But I won't wear no NATO ribbons, and I have 2 or 3 of them. And just because I seen that, and I was like, why are you letting this happen? Well, we can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
The rules of engagement. I mean, it's not fair. It's not fair when you see war crimes committed right in front of your eyes, man, and you can't do a damn thing about it. I've seen children tied up to stakes, man, and used as sex slaves, 6, 7 years old. And I'm not going to say the people that did it, and you probably know yourself right now.
Yeah.
And it's part of their world. It's part of what they do. We can't do nothing about it. It's what they do. It's not right. Just because
That's the way they write it off, though. That's just them. That's what they do.
and they hate us. They hate us all. We're infidels, man. I mean, in the eyes of them, I mean, to be a good one, you have to hate and kill everybody else. It's not one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what. You already know what.
Oh yeah. They're it's scary how uninformed a lot of people are.
Jihad.
You know?
I mean, jihad, and I mean, Allah Akbar. You know, it's just that's just stuff from the time they're knee high to a duck, and they're taught.
Yeah.
And if you're taught to love Jesus your whole life, guess what? You're gonna love Jesus.
Yeah.
If you're taught your whole life to hate Americans, guess what? You're gonna hate Americans. You're gonna kill
Americans.
as many of them as you can.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of places in this world. Evil is not. We've not seen no evil. A lot of people around here ain't seen no evil, Danny.
That's true.
Evil's coming.
Yeah.
Evil is coming, and death is coming, and he's riding a white horse, people. Let me tell you something. It's coming. It's coming, and you better be prepared. And I'm not just telling you this shit because I want to hear myself talking. You better get ready. You better get right. Because it's coming, and it's coming a lot sooner than what you might think.
Yeah. That's true.
And I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope like hell I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I hope in the next 8 or 9 months or a year or whatever, how long it is, I hope things change.
I'm hoping they do too.
If
they
it
need
don't,
to.
Danny, if it don't, it's gonna.
Well,
it's
imagine
gonna happen.
what the first 3.5 years has been like. Imagine what 4 more.
my God,
You know,
man.
it's going to be irreparable damage. I believe.
If it happens again, and deep down in my heart, I feel they stole the election, and there's proof of it. If it happens again, and the people stand by and they let it happen, then by God, they deserve what comes to them.
Absolutely.
And if they come for me, they better bring theirs because I'll have mine.
I know you will.
And I mean, that's just the way I feel about it.
I know you will.
I mean, I'm a patriot.
You got to be ready.
I'm a patriot, and I took an oath to defend this country to the last drop of my blood. And by God, that oath don't expire, and I will. If I have to use it, I'll use it.
Well, I tell you what, W.O., you're a good man to know, and I'm thankful to know you. Like I say, I think I've had conversations with you in passing a couple times, just, hey, how you doing, W.O., and stuff, but I've always wanted to sit down and talk to you.
This is the longest we've ever talked.
Yeah, I feel like I've known you for 20 years.
Well, we're kindred spirit, man.
We are. I believe we are. We kind of have the same type of thinking about a lot of things.
Right. Like-minded,
yeah. And
all you got to be, buddy, is be a good Christian and be a good patriot and love your country and love your flag and not let people kneel and not let people stand on it and abuse it. Let me tell you something. If I saw somebody standing on the American flag or trying to set it on fire, my ass is going to be in jail because I'm going to take it from them, and they're either going to whoop my ass or something. I'll just tell you that right now.
I'm the same way. You ain't going to do that in front of me.
No. I mean, there's too many people who have died and shed blood for that flag in foreign nations and stuff. Yeah. Let them go to Arlington Cemetery and just walk through it.
Yeah, do that.
Maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll help. Straighten them out, maybe give them a different way of thinking when they see so many of them white headstones right there, and look at what's on them. Look at what they died and how they died. And,
yeah.
And I mean, that's the only people that's buried in Arlington are heroes, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not no hero. People have called me a hero, and I said I'm not no hero. Go to Arlington Cemetery. That's where you'll find the heroes at.
Yeah.
I'm just me. I did my job. I tried to be a good American. I tried to serve my country. I tried to help my communities by being a first responder. And I try to tell people to the best of my knowledge what I think that they might be the best thing for them, Danny. And that's all I can do.
That's all I do. I just try to motivate people to learn more and.
Hey, you're doing a good job right here, son.
Be as prepared as I can, as they can.
I'm glad that you had me here. I'm glad that I got to talk to you and maybe talk to some people that are listening to this. Maybe it might help them. Yeah. I hope it does. I hope that it can reach. I hope it reaches thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And I hope that they will actually take to heart what we've been sitting here talking about, man.
Absolutely.
Because it's serious. This is serious. We're not just sitting here for our own health, man. We're trying to talk to our countrymen and our neighbors and stuff, and trying to warn them.
Yeah, it's all about warning people because, like we've said a dozen times, it's coming. I just know it's coming.
Evil, they ain't seen evil yet.
No.
The evil is having children tied up in underground cities, man, bleeding them for the adrenochrome.
Lord.
That is a true thing.
Oh, I know it is.
I know it because there's several cities underground that they're doing this stuff for. People's never seen the light of day, and they think that it's going to make them immortal, man.
Yeah.
They're trying to get health and trying to live forever, man, off these people's blood and their adrenochrome and their fears and stuff. Yeah. Look it up.
Oh, it's a very real thing.
Look it up.
They actually scare the child and get its adrenaline up.
Yes.
And then they
drink its blood.
They drink its blood.
Now, sometimes they eat the flesh too.
The scary thing about it is
they're cannibals, man.
They're getting very brave about their ways. There was a celebrity actress on a talk show some years ago talking about how her lipstick is made from the foreskin of children.
Yes.
Yes. Sandra Bullock, I think her name was.
It's possible.
There is. And I'm like, did you just say that on national TV?
Well, I mean, I've heard tell of them eating stuff from them, man.
It's insane.
Using their what is it? Their afterbirth. What is it? That's something about the afterbirth that has their stem cells.
Yeah.
They don't listen. The big pharmaceutical people is not out there to cure us. There's no money in the cure. The money is in making people have to depend on medication. They probably got a cure for diabetes and heart. I mean, all this stuff.
They do.
Cancer, too.
But they ain't no money.
These doctors giving this chemotherapy and this radiation, they buy this shit from, and they make money off of it. Mm-hmm. They buy the chemotherapy and stuff. They killed my dad with AA, burn him up.
Yeah.
he had prostate cancer, and they wound up taking everything he had off, and then he wasn't a man no more. He thought, you know, and then they cut him open in his back, and it spread and metastasized. He lived 28 days.
Wow.
And he got to the point where he couldn't even chew his tobacco. Man, he loved to chew his tobacco. King B. I got his pocket knife. It's still got. I bought him whenever I was in Germany.
Yeah.
And sent him home. It's still got the tobacco on the blade, man, from 1986.
Wow.
Or not? No, 96. He passed away. And I swear to God, man, I believe the cancer, the little crosses on him was still there.
Yeah.
And where they was his last treatment, he died that day. And he was so they burned him up from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't no way to live.
No, it ain't. I'd rather just go on.
No, I held his hand and watched him die, man. That's probably one of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life.
Well, I'd say so.
And when my mother passed away, I didn't watch her die. I went there and I told her goodbye. And whenever I left, they called me and said she died. I said, well, I watched my dad die. I'm not going to watch my mother die. I watched my grandma die. She raised me. I've watched several people in my life die, man. And it's hard to lose people that you love and you respect and stuff. And then you're like, well, you're kind of like living with survivor guilt. You're like, well, why ain't I dead? Why am I here?
Yeah.
Why I've sat and watched so many people die. I don't have no grandparents. I have no parents. I have no aunts and uncles. I have nobody. A few brothers and sisters left, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Cousins. I've watched generations of my family die.
Yeah.
And it's sad, man.
It's very sad.
It's coming though. I mean,
it can't outrun death.
no, it's going to happen to all of us. I mean, I've accepted death. I mean, when it's my time, the good Lord calls me. I mean, I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that I go to a better place.
Oh yeah, you will. There ain't no doubt about it. Well,
I hope I do. I mean, I believe in my heart that I will.
Yeah.
And if I have to, if it happens in my lifetime in the Bible, if you believe in it, then they're just going to cut my head off, man, because I'm going to be a martyr all the way. I mean, I'm going to fight them till I fall over. I'm a rebel to the end.
Yeah, that's something people's got to get through to them. You know, you got to fight to the end, put up a good fight.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to go easy.
I'm not a sheep.
No, I'm not.
I'm not a follower, man. I've always been a leader. I tried to be a leader and tried to help people out and try to do what's best for everybody. Mm-hmm. But now there's so many people in this world, man. They're sheep.
They are.
They're just following. They don't know that the wolf is the one that's trying to help. That's the one that's hurting them. That's the damn wolf. The wolf is not us. The wolf is the ones that are trying to pull the wool over their eyes, man. Mm-hmm. And trying to lead them down the wrong path.
Yeah.
People better wake up.
They better wake up.
And I'm not.
There's going to be a lot of casualties.
I'm not trying to scare nobody. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm trying to make people open their eyes up and start getting ready. Make yourself right with God. Make yourself right with your Creator, where you call Him Father, Creator, where you call Him the Great Spirit, by whatever name you call Him. Mm-hmm. You better be making it right with Him, and you better be making it right with your neighbors and your friends and your family, and you better be getting ready.
Yeah.
It don't take a lot.
No, it don't take a lot.
I mean, with the technology that we have today, I mean, you can learn how to do anything.
Uh-huh. Sure can.
I mean, it's...
If I can learn how to do a podcast, anybody
There's
can
no
learn
way
anything.
in hell I could do what you're doing right here. I barely do know how to work this phone, man. There's stuff on it I still can't do.
Well, I'm sure there is my phone too, but...
I'm old school, buddy.
I am too.
I mean, I'm talking about...
I was telling my wife yesterday, I was back down here tinkering with this thing, and I told her I made a little segment that I'm going to start here in a couple weeks. And I made an intro to it. Yeah. And I was pretty proud of myself. I told her, I said, I'm pretty daggone proud of myself being able to do this.
You got a crowd for you. Wow.
Yeah. And, thanks to a couple people that have helped me get this going and everything, it is what it is now. I'm pretty proud of it because I'm not technologically savvy in any way. I've had to learn this all from scratch.
Oh, man, trust me. I mean, if I know how to work a radio, I know how to make a fire.
Yeah.
But whenever it comes time to, playing some of these games and stuff like my kids play, they can smoke my ass on these games.
Oh yeah, I ain't no good.
I can't do it. I'm not coordinated like that, man. And when it comes to technology, I hate it.
I do too.
This cell phone right here, Would you ever thought when you was a child, when you was growing up, that you would have everything known to mankind that you could hold in the palm of your hand?
Well, if you'd have said that back then, they'd have thought you was insane.
Yes. And I mean,
But here it is.
It's there.
Every living human
It's a
being
good
probably has
thing
got
and
one
it's
of
a
these.
bad thing. I mean, it's so habitual to pick this. I mean, I've caught myself run off and left my phone once, man, going to Lexington to the VA. And I was like, holy shit, I left my phone at the house.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
a state of
halfway
panic.
there. I got to looking because I was going to call my wife. And I noticed, oh shit, I left my phone at the house.
Yeah.
I panicked.
Yeah.
Then I got to thinking, well, just calm down, enjoy your day without the damn thing.
Yeah. And you know what? That turns out to be a good day.
I lived 6 or 7 or 8 hours without that cell phone, man. When I came home, it's still laying in the same place.
Yeah. It'll
And
be
I
all right.
survived.
It'll be all
I
right.
survived.
Yeah.
My wife said, you forgot your phone at the house, didn't you? I was like, yep, and that was the end of that.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing to leave it laying down.
I used to ride a motorcycle till I got so busted up and disabled and stuff where I couldn't anymore, and that's one of my passions. I used to love to ride.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been riding for probably almost close to 50 years.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I couldn't anymore. As either that, and that's the only reason I started carrying a cell phone. I used to hate them. I'd never carry them. My wife made me get one and carry it just where I was out on my bike.
Yeah.
Something happened, I could call and get help.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only reason I actually started carrying a cell phone. It wasn't because I wanted to get on the internet and learn everything known to man.
Oh, yeah.
It's because, if I needed it, I could probably call somebody to help me.
Oh, yeah. They're good for that.
And now people just abuse them, man, I think.
Yeah.
People's gonna have to go to therapy, man, and gonna have because of cell phone abuse.
Well, it's true.
I believe it.
It's true.
I
believe it too.
I mean, hell, I'd like to be a shrink, man, and try to give people therapy over their phones.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, as bad as I hate to admit this, I kind of rely on mine with this podcast
Well,
and stuff.
I know you
And
do.
contacting people to be on it and
That's
everything.
a good thing.
I keep telling myself that I'm doing this for a good reason, and there is bad ways that people can use cell phones and stuff like that, but I keep reminding myself it's for a good reason.
They're a good tool. They're a real good tool. But
Yeah, they are.
they're also addicting, and there's stuff on there that these young kids can access. It's not good for them.
Oh,
I mean,
it's making them.
Some of these children don't need to be. I mean, they ask you a question: are you 18? Yeah, all you got to do is say yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, anybody in the world can pick that phone up right there and watch any kind of porn or anything they want to on it. They could just do all kinds of cruel,
Oh, it's crazy.
bad
what they
things
have
on
access to
and
at
watch
such a young
stuff. I
age.
mean, I tell my daughter, she's 11-year-old. I said, you really don't even need a cell phone. I said, and she's like, Daddy, everybody's got a phone. That's how I talk to my friends and stuff. I said, well, yeah, that's good. And
I walked into a local place just a couple of days ago, and there was a guy walked in with his son that could not have been over 7 or 8 years old. And they sat down next to each other, and the dad jerked out his cell phone, and the 7, 8-year-old boy jerked out his cell phone. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
you know what?
7, 8 years old.
You know what's the craziest thing? We went to a place one time, my daughter and me and my wife and another daughter. We're sitting there, man, eating. And instead of sitting right beside me, across the table from me, was texting each other. Instead of talking to each other, by God, they was texting.
Yeah,
I said,
same table.
Why'd you text me? Why don't you just ask me? Well, Daddy texted it to me.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not texting you back. That's ridiculous.
I'll
You're
tell
right.
you.
You're right here. But that's the way. That's what we do now. We text.
Yeah, that's true.
We text.
Well, W.O., I'm gonna end it on that note right there. I appreciate you coming, man.
Yes, sir.
I've really enjoyed talking to you. Like I say, I've wanted to talk to you for years.
I'm glad to be here.
I knew you'd be a wealth of knowledge and stuff, so I appreciate you coming on.
I'm glad.
I've enjoyed
I'm glad you had me, man. I mean, I feel like maybe that me and you maybe made a difference in somebody's life. If it's one person, it's worth it to me.
Oh, that's what I say. If one person hears it and they get something from it.
I told you before that I think that you're doing good with this, man. Just keep it up.
I appreciate it. I ain't got no signs of slowing down. I'm going to keep on
I've told
trucking with
people
it.
about it. I said, have you checked Danny out on What's Up World? No, what is it? And I've told a few people about it. Oh,
Yeah.
man, that's crap. I said, well, there's 2,000 people that don't think that way.
Yeah. Well, that's just on the Facebook.
How many countries did you say that you're in now?
I think it's 27 countries
Wow,
now
that's
that it's
good.
being listened to, and so you can imagine
I wonder how many people was listening to what we've talked about tonight.
there'll be a lot.
Wow.
There'll be a lot.
Well, I mean, you ain't even nobody's
no, this
seen
is
it right
recorded.
now.
This is just recorded right now.
Well, you'll have
It'll-
to edit it. There ain't nobody gonna sit for an hour and a half or how long we talk and listen to
Hey,
us.
I listen to some 3 or 4 hours long.
Oh, really? Hey?
Yeah, you can go 30 minutes or you can go 3 hours. It don't matter. People will listen to it and stop it when they get busy, and then they'll pick right back up.
Well, if they think it's interesting, I mean, they might say, "Well, I want to listen to what this guy's got to say."
Well, they will. That's I do it every day. I do it. Podcast is about all I do anymore, and I'll
Why
start
I'm
to
here,
listen to
man.
one.
I'm just trying to make a difference.
Well, you've made one, no doubt.
I'm just trying to feel like I matter. And if I, like I said, if I touch one person's life, man,
Mm-hmm.
I've made a difference. I've helped.
Well, with the amount of people that listens to this podcast, you're sure to have touched somebody.
I hope so.
You have.
I hope so.
But I appreciate it, Mr. W.O., and thank y'all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next one, y'all. Have a good one.
Yep.